You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2262 2262 Chapter 493, EQ 6. There was only scolding, but no movement. In the divine realm, the Emperor God also followed with a scolding. There was no movement. Eat you, then eat it. If the demon emperor was really eaten, it would be a good thing. The demon realm was not weak, nor was it small. The demon emperor understood in his heart. With an angry roar, his chi and blood burned the void. A long spear suddenly appeared in his hand, and with a sweep of the spear, Hong Long. The big hairy ball was sent flying, but this time, the cue ball behind him was also extremely furious. It turned into a huge ball that covered the sky and directly bit down. What it bit down on was not the physical body, but the willpower. With a creak, the demon emperor felt a splitting headache. The demon emperor turned around and shot out a spear. Behind him, the big hairy ball attacked again. He just wanted to fight with a clone, but he did not dare. With a clone, his strength would drop. There was a real possibility that he would be eaten by the other party. However, he had no way of dealing with these two half-emperor realm experts. If he was in the demon world, he wouldn't be afraid. If these two came, he would be able to kill them all. But now, he had come out of the demon world. Damn it! A streak of flame rose, burning the void into pieces. In the end, in an instant, he was eaten by Hairy Ball, and he even burped. How fragrant! The demon emperor's heart turned cold. He had been eaten. Without a word, he began to clone himself. The others were all watching the show. Damned bastard! He instantly transformed into 3 clones, and his true body directly headed toward the demon world. In the past, he had fought with Hairy Ball in the future. He knew that he was in trouble, but he couldn't leave all 3 clones in the myriad realms. Otherwise, he would be in big trouble. If the Divine Emperor and Immortal Emperor really came, they might not be here to help him. It was also possible for them to attack him secretly. His true body quickly fled, and his 2 clones fought fiercely with Hairy Ball. However, they were forced to retreat step by step. Hairy Ball and Cue Ball didn't chase after his true body. Instead, they bit towards the past and the future. Creak, creak, creak. Even the void was bitten apart. Right at this moment, the demon emperor tore apart the void again. Very quickly, he arrived in the sky above the demon world. His face was somewhat pale and unsightly. In the next moment, he roared, and in the distance, Future's body suddenly exploded with a boom. The future was the strongest. Heaven-shattering and earth-shattering. The entire void was blasted into nothingness. Hairy Ball, who was fighting with the future body, instantly vanished. Following an intense explosion, he vanished from his original location. Master! The Mother Ball shouted. In a state of exasperation, she bit down on the past body. The past body was instantly ripped apart, but she burned her chi and blood to flee. At this moment, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The future body exploded, and the big hairy ball disappeared. The cue ball was just about to go look for the big hairy ball when the big hairy ball suddenly appeared. At this moment, it became a little fierce and said angrily, "You blew me up, eat him." The 2 hairy balls instantly chased after the past body. The demon emperor's face changed again, and he cursed angrily. Damn it! Even this didn't kill half-emperor Devourer. The past body's escaping speed was extremely fast, but it wasn't as fast as the 2 hairy balls. In the blink of an eye, the mother ball caught up to it and started biting it again. The demon emperor's eyes were ruthless, and he was about to explode again. At this moment, the big hairy ball suddenly expanded countless times, blotting out the sky and covering the sun. This was the first ball. It opened its mouth. In one gulp, it swallowed all of the bodies, including the surrounding void. Suddenly, a world-shaking roar came from its round stomach. The exploding ball flew all over the world. Blood covered the void, and blood rained down. The half-emperor's third incarnation had fallen. This time, the commotion was even greater than the death of Invincible. And at this moment, all the worlds in the heavens were dumbfounded. What was going on? It was too fast. They saw two balls suddenly appear, and then the demon emperor, who was made of mud, was bitten into pieces by the two balls. He didn't even care about his 3 incarnations and just gave up, self-detonating his 3 incarnations. Where did these 2 balls come from? At this moment, the heavens fell silent. Countless invincible existences appeared, and they didn't even have the interest to fight anymore. They all appeared and looked at the 2 balls, at the giant balls that were constantly exploding. The Devouring God clan. Some invincible warriors didn't even know about this clan. You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2263. 2263 Chapter 494 Battle ended 1. A storm of blood. 2 half-emperors of the demon race had been eaten, or rather, the demon emperor himself had exploded. At this moment, the heavens were silent. In the next moment, the Emperor of the Dead, the Immortal Emperor, the Dragon Emperor, the Ancient Giant King, the Life Emperor, and the Spiritual Emperor. Half-emperors appeared one after another. The ancient Immortal Emperor's voice shook the heavens as he coldly shouted, "God-devouring half-emperor, how dare you attack the half-emperor of the demon race? Kill him! Kill him!" The figures of half-emperors appeared one after another. The fox mourned the death of the rabbit. 2 half-emperor level experts had ambushed the demon emperor and killed 3 generations of his opponent. This was no small matter. In the air, Big Hairy Ball was still being blown away. His figure was like a deflated rubber ball as he gradually became smaller. A moment later, he gathered with the cue ball. Big Hairy Ball looked in all directions, then looked at the little hairy ball that flew out of the ancient city. He blinked and looked at the cue ball. The 2 balls looked at each other and instantly disappeared. Before leaving, Big Hairy Ball looked at Su Yu with some doubt. He did not look anymore and disappeared. A space-time channel opened. In the blink of an eye, a huge heavenly yuan fruit tree appeared in front of everyone. In the next moment, Big Hairy Ball and Mother Ball lay on the fruit tree. Big Hairy Ball did not say anything. A pair of small hands appeared on Mother Ball's waist. She shouted, "We're going home. We're not eating. This half-emperor wants to eat our little guy first. We'll eat his. If he doesn't eat ours, we won't eat him." It put its hands on its waist and burped. It didn't eat much, but it was also full. It shouted again, "We're really going home. If you say you're not going to eat, then we're not going to eat. We're going to close the door and sleep. Goodbye." With a creak, it was as if the door to the passage had been closed. The cue ball waved at the people in all directions. They were going home. Goodbye. We're not going to fight, we're not going to eat. We have a reason to eat the demon emperor. The 2 balls weren't stupid either. This time, they were eating too much. Go home. Go home. Once they reached home, they wouldn't be afraid anymore. 2 half-emperor level experts were guarding the nest, and there weren't any races involved. The little guy was the only one. If they really attacked, they wouldn't be afraid either. Those half-emperor level experts were only trying to intimidate them. If they really went to fight these 2, they could temporarily forget about it. There was no need for that. At this moment, with a creak, the passage door of the ancient god-devouring realm was torn open. Burp. This time, it was Big Hairy Ball. Big Hairy Ball burped and was a little weak. He still shouted, "Hey, we're not going to eat when we get home. My kid is still young. Don't hit him. You guys are already so old, and you're still bullying the younger ones. If you hit him again, we'll eat you too. With that, the door was once again hidden. The two balls really went home. They went home and closed the door. If they had the ability, they could go into the ancient world and hit them. If they didn't have the ability, they could just stay outside and block them for hundreds of years. These two balls weren't afraid of being blocked. As for destroying the ancient world, the emperors could do it together. The key was, at this point, who would be willing. Weren't they afraid of the two balls going all out? At this moment, they left. In an instant, the emperors arrived outside the demon world and the demon emperor entered the demon world. The half-emperors looked down at the demon world. The heavenly ancient immortal emperor calmly said, "Demon emperor, are you all right? With the three incarnations dead, the demon world will be in danger. The humans are treacherous. Be careful of the humans ambushing the demon world. If the demon emperor is at ease with us, we will guard the southern war zone for the demons." At this moment, the demon emperor's voice rang out, shaking the entire area. The demon race shall return to the demon world. The moment these words were spoken, the demon race experts who were already trembling in fear immediately left. The blood-fire demon king, who was fighting against the Grand Xia king, also took the blow head-on. With his injuries, he quickly fled. However, the Grand Xia king did not chase after him. This fellow was too strong. If he really went all out, the Grand Xia king might not be able to defeat him. The blood-fire devil king quickly returned with a group of invincible devils. Among them, there were a few who were heavily injured. One of them even had a weak aura and lost a 3-generation avatar. Behind him, Niu Baidao was abnormally happy, he took a load and ran. I'm so King smart. He guessed that something was going to happen to the devil race. As expected, when the devil emperor met with an accident, the devil race experts and invincible celestials were all stunned. He did not care. He directly took advantage of the moment and the other party's avatar was in a state of shock and risked being heavily injured. He killed one of the 3 incarnations of the other party. What a win! At this moment, the blood-fire demon king returned with more than 10 invincible celestials. In the sky above the demon world, the images of the invincible celestials appeared one after another. The demon emperor's voice was calm, "There's no need for all of you to worry. It's just a small injury. Our demon race still has tens to hundreds of eons. We can still defend the southern war zone. Moreover, my injuries aren't that serious. It's just 3 incarnations." As soon as he finished speaking, an incomparably powerful aura suddenly appeared. An invincible demon's expression suddenly changed. In the next moment, he let out a mournful roar and a loud boom sounded. His past and future body exploded, but now, his body suddenly transformed into the aura of a demon emperor. In the blink of an eye, he transformed into the appearance of a demon emperor and disappeared. Boom! With a loud boom, the demon world shook and blood clouds descended. Some of the other invincible demons frowned while others heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, one of the invincible demons had died. However, this was a sign that the demon emperor had recovered his strength. If it was any other time, everyone would grieve over the death of the demon emperor and be afraid. However, at this moment, everyone knew what the demon emperor was thinking. To recover a certain level of strength and intimidate the experts from all directions. At the moment of the survival of the race, it was acceptable for an invincible demon to die. Moreover, that invincible demon had just attained Tao not too long ago. However, he was also a genius from the past. Now, he had become the reincarnation of the demon emperor. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2264. 2264 Chapter 494, The Great War Ends Too. One of the three incarnations was restored in an instant. It possessed invincible battle strength. Compared to before, it was slightly weaker, but the difference was not that great. After all, the demon race was not a human race. The human race did not have a sovereign, but they still survived very well. This was because the human race could not suppress the other worlds and could create an absolute threat to the other side. The demon race could not. Once the demon race had no sovereign, the entire demon world would be shaken and fall apart. They could not be like the human race, who could charge into other worlds at any time and intimidate the other worlds. Strictly speaking, they were more dangerous than the human race. Although the demon world had a suppressive force. Once the experts of the various races joined hands to break the demon world, it would be useless even if the demon world had a suppressive force. And the human realm was not so easy to break. This was an ancient world with an emperor. Breaking through to the human realm was definitely more costly than breaking through to the demon realm. The demon emperor instantly recovered a life form, but he did not recover a second life form. In fact, the demon race had prepared more than one carrier for the three life forms. And at this moment, the divine emperor laughed. He glanced at the immortal emperor and suddenly, the two of them joined hands, one person and one palm, slapping towards Madwa Na in the ancient city. They knew what the demon emperor meant. The demon emperor had just recovered his past body and he wanted to nurture Madwa Na into a powerful future body. Since that was the case, he would kill Madwa. Let's see who the demon emperor would use to recover his future body. The demon emperor's past body was a little perfunctory. He was an invincible person who had just attained the Tao. If his future body wasn't strong enough, even if he recovered, his strength might be greatly reduced. At this moment, the demon emperor's projection appeared in the sky above the demon world. He looked at the two of them and didn't say anything. He only looked at the immortal world and the divine realm. He also looked at the younger generation of the immortals and deities in the heavenly battlefield. He didn't threaten them. If you kill Madwa Na, unless you suppress the demon realm forever, he would attack and kill the younger generation of the various realms as long as there was a chance. He didn't care about anything. The two emperors instantly stopped. Tian Gu smiled and grabbed Madwa Na like he was grabbing a chicken. He grabbed back and tore through the void. He smiled and said, "I'm worried that something will happen to Madwa Na. That's the ancient city. It's not safe." The demon emperor didn't say anything. The immortal emperor looked at Madwa Na and said meaningfully, "Cultivate well. The future of the demon race still depends on you guys." The demon emperor was injured this time. If your strength isn't enough, how can the demon world continue to be stable? He almost said that you are the future candidate of the demon emperor. You have to cultivate well. Only when you become stronger will the demon emperor be able to recover. Madwa didn't speak. He lowered his head and didn't speak. His ancestors, including his teacher, were all devil kings. At this moment, the two devil kings were frowning as they thought about something. No one wanted to see something happen to the devil emperor. The devil race also didn't want to see it. As one of the overlords of the heavens, the devil race was very strong. However, without the suppression of the devil emperor, the devil race wasn't stronger than the human race. If the devil emperor couldn't suppress everyone, the devil world might be torn apart. The Bloodfire Demon King returned so quickly. He would rather be injured than fight with the great Xia King again. Was it to protect the demon emperor or did he have other intentions? Who knew? The primogenitor demon race was the overlord of the demon race, and the Bloodfire demon race was not weak either. However, the Bloodfire demon race was the vanguard. Did the Bloodfire Demon King not have any thoughts? His strength could even suppress the great Xia King. He was not much weaker than an ordinary half-emperor. The demon emperor did not say this. He barely recovered from his previous rage. He said indifferently, "There are actually two of them in the Devouring God clan. That Devouring God half-emperor must have existed for an extremely ancient time. Celestial Ancient Immortal Emperor, do you know him?" Celestial Ancient Immortal Emperor was silent for a moment and said indifferently, "I might have seen him before." At this moment, he understood why he felt a sense of danger. Because, it was not one, but two. They might have been waiting for him at the gate of the immortal realm. Once he got out, he would be stronger than the Demon Emperor. Those two might not be able to do anything to him. However, if he really got entangled with them and a few others came to kick him while he was down, he would most likely be gone. The cooperation of the 10,000 races depended on when. When they were targeting the human race, they were wholeheartedly focused. Targeting the ancient god-devouring race. What a joke. These two balls had the ability to suppress entering the realm. Why would they take the risk to target them? If they really went up against these two, it would be safe to return to the realm. However, once they went up against the human experts, it wouldn't be safe even if they returned to the realm. This was the main reason why the human race was targeted. With the return of the demon race's unrivaled experts, the battles in various places gradually stopped. With the loss of more than 10 unrivaled experts, the other races' unrivaled experts were also tempted. There were also people who were afraid of the two experts of the Devouring God clan. Their desire to fight immediately dissipated. Xia Long had successfully attained the Tao. Su Yu and the others were staying in the ancient city with dozens of stone sculptures. At this moment, the human race had almost attained the Tao. Should they continue fighting? They could kill Su Yu through the rules. The Demon Emperor could lead the dead souls. However, would the Demon Emperor dare to go out now? Even if a few half-emperors said that they would not make things difficult for him, he would not go out. If he left the demon world now, the Demon Emperor would really go crazy. If he did not kill Su Yu, the demon world would not be destroyed. If he went out and was ambushed, it was possible that the demon world would be destroyed. Moreover, the threat from Su Yu and the 10,000 heavenly saints was a matter of the future. It could not be compared to the current crisis. On the human realm side, invincible experts gathered one after another. The invincible experts from all races had all run away. They did not have any intention to continue. The human race was inferior to the alliance of all races. Previously, everyone's thoughts were entangled, which allowed the invincible human race to be unharmed. Now that something had happened in the demon world, the Great War had stopped, the human race also had no intention of continuing to fight to the death. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2265. 2265 Chapter 494 The Great War ended 3. Only when the Great War stopped would it be in the interests of the human race. The human race had profited greatly. And the ones who suffered the most were the demons. In addition to the invincible state that the Demon Emperor had killed himself, a total of 4 invincible state experts had died. The Demon Emperor was also heavily injured. The losses of the other races were not too great. The celestial race had lost 2 invincible states, 1 Ming, 1 immortal, and 1 human. This time, 9 invincible states had died. This was also the highest number of deaths in hundreds of years. The Great Qin King, the Great Xia King, the Great Zhou King. Many experts had gathered. Xia Longwu, Niu Bendao, and the other unrivaled experts had also gathered. This time, there were many people who had succeeded. Xia Longwu, Niu Bendao, Zhou Polong, Zhou Patian, Lu Wuxian, Qin Zhen, and even Nan Wujiang. Yes, Nan Wujiang had also succeeded in establishing his Tao during the chaos. The original cult master Yun Chen, however, had not succeeded. Nan Wujiang, also known as the Black Armor, looked into the distance with a complicated expression. He looked at the gathering place of the ancient city in the distance. He seemed to have seen quite a number of people. He saw Suyu floating in the air, he saw the 10,000 heavenly saints and Lu Wenyan who had disappeared in a flash. When he was the Black Armor, his relationship with Suyu was actually quite good. However, at this moment, the many divine languages department seemed to be somewhat divided. That department didn't seem to agree with them in this way. Nan Wujiang looked over silently. Beside him, the original cult master Yun Chen walked over. He also looked over with a complicated expression. Master. Nan Wujiang nodded slightly and didn't say anything. This time, 7 new unrivaled realm experts were born. Zhu Tianfang and Zhou Tianyuan appeared, and the human race had 9 more unrivaled realm experts. 41 unrivaled realm experts had died, and now, there were a total of 49. In reality, there were even more. However, those few were all crippled. Their appearance was also a matter of life and death. The great Qin king also looked towards the ancient city. On the other side of the ancient city, Suyu held the little furball on his head and secretly let out a sigh of relief. He grabbed the little furball and transmitted his voice, "Don't run around. Be careful or you'll be beaten to death. Your family is really fierce. Too fierce." Fortunately, the 2 balls didn't even have time to look at them before they were forced by the various half-emperors to flee back to the ancient god-devouring realm. Suyu was scared to death. He was afraid that they would look at him one more time and refuse to leave. Wan Tiansheng and Lu Wenyan were also very surprised. They looked at little hairy ball strangely. This race actually had more than one half-emperor ball. 2. This was the reason why the demon emperor was at a disadvantage. If it was just 1, he wouldn't be afraid. But if it was 2, there was nothing he could do. Moreover, this devouring god race was different from the other races. At that time, there were 3 unrivaled warriors. If the opponent was a warrior, these 3 unrivaled warriors could resist even if they weren't a match for them. However, when the 3 unrivaled warriors attacked, they often missed. As a result, the demon emperor did not have any reinforcements. At this moment, outside the ancient city, the unrivaled warriors of the other clans also retreated. At this moment in the battle, because of an accident and because the demon emperor was injured, it was almost time for the countdown. The demon world did not participate in the battle anymore. The demon emperor would not appear again. At this moment, the other clans were still fighting against the human clan. There was no benefit at all. Don't let the demons get away with this. At this moment, Suyu also heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the battle seemed to have come to an end. He felt that it was still fine. However, Myriad Heaven Sage's expression changed slightly as he transmitted his voice, "Open the ancient city and let me leave." Head Prefect. Suyu glanced at him. Myriad Heaven Sage calmly said, "Very soon, news of the humans will spread. It's not a good thing for me to be with you. Also, I'm here. If the 10,000 races come to force me, it's not right for you to hand me over. It's also not right for you to not hand me over. If the human race comes to force you, are you going to hand me over or not? Mannerhead, I'm not afraid of them." The 10,000 heavenly saints laughed. "Foolish. Open the city. While the others are not here, no one is paying attention to this place. Let me leave first, quickly." But Lu Wenyan sighed. "Open the city gates. Be quiet. Let Marshal Uncle Wan leave first." Suyu was helpless and had no choice but to open some of the city gates. Wan Tianxing turned around to look at him, then at Lu Wenyan. He cupped his hands slightly. This time, it was really time to leave. He instantly disappeared from where he was. In the blink of an eye, he had disappeared without a trace. Along with him, the blue sky in the distance also disappeared in an instant. The blue sky seemed to be very happy. In a short while, both of them had disappeared without a trace. Once the 10,000 heavenly saints left, Lu Wenyan took a deep breath and said, "No matter who comes to ask, they all say that they don't know. Just say that he left long ago." Su Yu nodded. Lu Wenyan looked at Su Yu. After a moment of silence, he said, "You promised to give the Lord of Ancient City 2 carrying objects." "Yes. Later, when there are more people and people come, you will give them out again. Without the tombstone and the carrying objects, you are only Su Yu." Su Yu nodded. "Also. Zhan Wushuang, you didn't kill him, right?" "Not yet, I will kill him later." "Don't." Lu Wenyan interrupted, "Don't kill him. There's no need to kill a defeated opponent. He lost to you and will never be able to catch up with you. This is how the genius competition is like, but if you kill him, the celestial race will always be entangled with you." Lu Wenyan smiled as usual. He pointed out as usual, "There's no need to kill him. Let him go. There's no need to extort anything. It's hard to extort anything from a defeated genius. Just let him go. The celestial race and the other races will doubt whether you've reached any conditions or not. You have to have it. As for the human race, don't worry about it. If you have the ability, let the geniuses of the human race kill him. You can kill Zhan Wushuang easily. Those people will only think that if you can do it, he can do it too. When Zhan Wushuang kills some geniuses of the human race and suppresses the geniuses of the human race, they will understand that without you, they are nothing." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2266. 2266 Chapter 494 Battle Ends 4. Su Yu nodded. This was his teacher. Regardless of whether it was reasonable or not, he would first listen and let Zhan Wushuang go. But there was no benefit at all. Su Yu thought for a moment and got Hairy Ball to spit Zhan Wushuang out. Soon, a round ball was spat out. Zhan Wushuang's shadow appeared. He looked at Su Yu and said bitterly, "I've lost. Are you going to kill me? That's good. Dying in your hands is better than dying in the hands of some experts." Losing to the geniuses of the generation and being killed, there was no resentment. Their skills were inferior to others. But if they were unlucky, killed by Invincible, killed by the sun and the moon, and killed by a group of old fogies, these geniuses would not be satisfied. Su Yu said with an indifferent face, "The defeated ones don't want to kill you. If I defeat you now, it will be easier to defeat you in the future. Do you want to die or live?" Zhan Wushuang's shadow frowned slightly. "I want to live." It was that simple. Even geniuses were afraid of death. If they could live, they had to live. If you want to live, it's simple. I want the essence blood of all civilized masters of all races, at least 100 drops for each race. When you provide me with enough blood, I will pay you back. Zhan Wushuang frowned, "All?" "Yes, all." Zhan Wushuang said in a deep voice, "What's your realm?" "Take off." Zhan Wushuang was silent for a while, then he said, "Okay." Su Yu looked calm. He casually rubbed him and made him into a ball again. He opened the city gate and threw him out forcefully. As for whether he would be beaten to death, that was none of my business. Lu Wenyan could not help but laugh. This guy, you don't have any proof. And you believe it? It's recorded." Su Yu smiled and said, "A genius needs face. It's fine if you don't admit it in private. If you really don't give it to him, if you were to release him, he would break his word and lose all face. Even a genius needs face. A genius who breaks his word would still have to face a genius of the same level, then this circle will not tolerate him." "Teacher, you don't understand. Because you haven't entered this circle, how could you understand this? Lu Wenyan was speechless. F***CKU. I don't understand what you're saying. Forget it, this kid's old habits were acting up again. Is Master Ho alright? Suyu asked, and Lu Wenyan couldn't help but laugh. His physical body is gone. Do you think he's alright? His sea of consciousness is severely injured, do you think he's alright? With those words, how could Master Ho be alright? Even if he took out his sea of consciousness, the other party couldn't appear like Zhan Wushuang. His injuries were much worse than Zhan Wushuang's. Then, I still have quite a bit of heavenly yuan qi on the marquee side. Lu Wenyan waved his hand, he said indifferently, don't give it to me. Let the humans come out. Xia Xiaoxi had caused this in order to save Xia Longwu, and Xia Longwu had done it to buy time for the others to witness the Tao. With the humans paying the price, do you really think that the humans are so poor that they don't even have a quasi-invincible body recovery resource? Lu Wenyan smiled faintly. Don't worry, Anne, things may not be over yet. The human race may not be in trouble, but your side, it's hard to say. Suyu frowned. Do you still want to beat me up? Lu Wenyan looked around, he took a deep breath and said, I'll leave first. I still have to survive in the human race, so I can't say anything. If you need anything, come to Lu City and find me. Hong Tan, Bai Feng, and the others are here. On your side, be a bit tougher. Don't be afraid. You're the master of the ancient city, so you don't need to care about anything. After saying this, Lu Wenyan quickly left through the open city gates. Before he left, he transmitted his voice, there are some things that don't need me to teach you anymore. Manor Head Wan should have told you some of them. Teacher will give you a word of advice. If you achieve, you'll help the world. If you're poor, you'll have to take care of yourself. When you're strong enough to sweep the world, you can do anything. When you're not at that stage, don't do these meaningless things. Suyu nodded. Lu Wenyan also quickly disappeared. Not long after he left, figures appeared in the sky above the ancient city. Many human experts, experts of the 10,000 races. These people seemed to want to draw an end to this battle. At this moment, a human expert seemed to have received the news and angrily said, Suyu, where's the 10,000 heavenly saints? The 10,000 heavenly saints massacred the sacred land and killed the experts from the various manors. The news had just spread. At this moment, experts from the other races also gathered. An invincible said coldly, hand over the 10,000 heavenly saints and this battle will come to an end. The 10,000 heavenly saints and the 10,000 races have all been killed and have completely entered the devil path. This devil wasn't from the devil race, but the true devil path. As for Suyu, no one said anything else. This was the master of an ancient city, so it was not appropriate to touch him. Suyu was surprised. The various races that had fought to the death just now, had now reconciled. Suyu was speechless. Sure enough, in this day and age, what you saw did not mean what you knew. The 10,000 races and the human race were not bad enemies, but at this time, both sides had finished what they needed to fight and what they needed to do. Without a life-and-death battle, it could be considered peaceful. He ran away. Suyu said calmly, just now, something happened to the demon emperor, and he ran away. He ran away. How could he run? Under the blockade of the ancient city, where could he run to? Some people were extremely angry. Suyu's face turned cold. He floated in the air and looked at the people outside, he shouted coldly, I said he ran away. Are you deaf? Are you questioning me? I held back more than 10 invincible experts for you. I summoned 2 half-emperors for you. I provided the conditions for you to achieve the Tao. I gave up my relic. Are you questioning me now? Even if you don't run away, you can come in and search. Suyu snorted and ignored these experts, he said angrily, cut the crap. This is not your territory. Get lost if you have nothing to do. I'll call dozens of stone sculptures and 2 half-emperors of the god-devouring clan. If you're not satisfied, we'll have a fight. Also, on the human side, you have to compensate me for the relics I've given up. If you don't, just wait and see. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2267. 2267 Chapter 494 Battle ended 5. He looked at the crowd and the experts of the 10,000 races and said coldly, "All of you scram. If you think you're stronger than the Demon Emperor, then come and try." After saying that, he summoned the little furball and threw it out. "Come, kill it, and I'll tell you where the 10,000 heavenly saints went." "A bunch of idiots, who do you think I, Su Yu, am?" "It's Xiaolongwu, how dare you bully me?" Su Yu snorted, turned around and said, "Master Xing Hong, this time, they came to find trouble with me." "Master, I didn't leave the city, nor did I meddle in other people's business." Xing Hong directly appeared. At this moment it was not difficult to support Su Yu. He was not the only one. At this moment, in the surrounding ancient cities, numerous stone sculptures directly appeared, looking at the experts in the void. Many people's expressions changed. Su Yu looked at these people, he said unhappily, "Are you going to leave or not? I'm not afraid of you if you're invincible." "So what if you're invincible? Don't provoke me. Also, Kong took away my tombstone. If the 10,000 clans don't get it back for me, we'll see. In addition, in order to protect Xiaolong's martial Dao, I paid 2 loads." Su Yu directly threw the 2 ancient cities at them, not caring about what happened to the 2 ancient cities. He said loudly, "The Xia family wants to compensate me. As for whether the Xia family will pay or let the rest of the human race pay, I don't care. If you don't compensate me, then don't blame me for not giving face to the human race in the grand celestial battlefield. This time, I have paid back what I owe the human race, the Xia family, and everyone else. All of you have achieved your Dao thanks to me. The sun and moon that I have killed, you have never killed so many in your entire lives. All of you have never broken so many of the 3 incarnations of the 10,000 races that I have broken." He looked at those newly advanced unrivaled beings, he said unceremoniously, "All of you owe me. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have achieved your Dao at all. It was me who contributed my ruins, used the ancient city to protect the Xia family, attracted those quasi-unrivaled beings for you, obtained the vessel, and led you out of the burning sea. Have some conscience. You still dare to come and interrogate me? Do you have the qualifications?" Su Yu was extremely impolite. Just as Lu Wenyan had said, he did not need to be polite now to avoid trouble in the future. If he were to be polite now, it would be a little troublesome if others followed suit. His words made everyone speechless. Su Yu said again, "When tombstone, the vessel, you must return it to me. Yes, the human race must return this to me. As for the celestial race, you'd better get lost. I don't even want to kill that trash Shan Wushuang. I've already lost him. He's probably gone back to his hometown. You guys go find him yourself. As for the other races, those with less than 40 undefeatable figures, get lost. Don't force me to make you unable to survive in the heavens." The expressions of the undefeatable figures changed one after another. Some of the undefeatable figures from the smaller races were at a loss for words. "He made us unable to survive in the heavens," these words came from Ling Yun. Could it be done? It seemed like it could be done. The 36 ancient cities were scattered all over the place. The heavens were all ancient cities. Su Yu, the city lord, seemed to be different from the other city lords. At this moment, the stone sculptures of the various cities appeared. All of them were silent. Clearly, they were standing on Su Yu's side. This was very scary. Su Yu scolded once again, what are you still standing there for? Are you going to besiege the ancient city? Come on. Be it divine emperors or immortal emperors, just let them try. I won't cause trouble, and I'm not afraid of trouble. At most, I'll just die and let you all die. You can play around with me. At this moment, in the air, the little furball that had been thrown out also squeaked, I won't cause trouble, and I'm not afraid of trouble. I'll just fight. Who's afraid of who? It was clearly said in a childish voice, but many Invincible's eyes turned cold. Sure enough, those two half-emperors were created by Su Yu's side. This guy was even more terrifying. Was this the descendant that the god-devouring half-emperor tore open the air after he left? Everyone sighed in their hearts. Two half-emperor level experts, no, perhaps, there were also several half-emperor level experts and dozens of ancient stone sculptures among the ancient stone sculptures. Su Yu was not someone that anyone could afford to offend. After a series of curses, Su Yu sneered and turned around to fly toward the city lord's mansion. Without even turning his head, he said, I represent the ancient city. Next, the starry palace will open. The ancient city needs 100 slots. I don't care how you gather them. If you don't give them, then don't enter. When the palace opens, the 36 ancient cities will surround you. If you're not satisfied, then come and try. Hearing this, some of the city lords in the other ancient cities also had expressions on their faces. One of the ancient city lords smiled and said, that's right, City Lord Su means what we mean. When the starry palace opens, we will also take up 100 slots. This time, some of the unrivaled city lords had ugly expressions on their faces. They had come here to force the human race to hand over the 10,000 heavenly saints. In the end, they didn't say much, and instead, Su Yu showed off his might. The dozens of unrivaled experts were in a dilemma. At that moment, a soft sigh came from afar, and the great Qin King's voice came from afar. He sighed and said, we will think of a way to get the tombstone back for you. We will also send the object of bearing to you very soon. Do you have any other requests? Su Yu said in a clear voice, it's not a request, I'm not forcing you. I just want to get what I've given up. As for blocking dozens of invincible fighters for you, I'll take it as a repayment. After all, I was born in the human realm and grew up in the human realm. Even though you're the ones who let me down. But after 18 years of peace in the human realm, all of you were invincible in the human realm and created an environment for me to survive. This time, I'll pay you back for what I've given up. I am also just a living dead, today do not know tomorrow. Everyone, pay this time, we no longer owe each other. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2268. 2268 Chapter 494 War Ended 6. Invincible You sighed, Su Yu. Do you want to separate from the human race? Su Yu said calmly, not really. After all, I'm not a human now. I'm half dead, so how can I be considered a human? Of course, if the human race thinks that I, Su Yu, am not worthy of being a human, then they can just end it. As for the matter of the 10,000 heavenly saints, it has nothing to do with me. You can go and look for him wherever you want. First, he isn't my teacher. Second, he isn't my parents or grandparents. Why is he looking for me? He has grown legs and can walk on his own. Are you looking for me because you think I'm easy to bully or what? In this battle, I've made great contributions to the human race. If you treat me like this, don't blame me for not giving you face. From now on, it's not impossible for the 36 ancient cities to not accept the human race. Some people's expressions changed. The peerless experts of the 10,000 races did not make a sound this time and started to watch the joke. They did not want to get involved in this matter. On the celestial side, they had wanted to say that Su Yu had killed Zhan Wushuang and wanted to go crazy, but Zhan Wushuang had already left. Since that was the case, why was he arguing with Su Yu? This guy was not a good person. If he did not give face to the peerless experts of the human race, why would he give face to them? What a joke. Everyone, return to the East Rift Valley. At this moment, the great Qin King's voice sounded once again. This time, he and the other invincible experts did not come. There were more than 10 invincible human experts, but there was nothing much to say. Su Yu said that the newly ascended Tao practitioners owed him. The old invincible. Su Yu said that he had paid a huge price this time and had entangled dozens of invincible experts. It was a little surreptitious, but it was not easy to argue. The truth was a little exaggerated, but if Su Yu really wanted to take it seriously, there was no way to say it. Although everyone knew that Su Yu was the one who had let Wan Tianxun go, Su Yu was no longer the Su Yu of the Great Xia Mansion, and he was no longer the Su Yu of the Great Ming Mansion. At this time, someone in the crowd laughed and said, "Su Yu, they are them, and we are us. Su Yu, your ancient city of Xinghong is in the Sea of Stars. When the Great Ming Mansion comes, take good care of them." Niu Bai Dao. Su Yu also laughed and cupped his hands. Congratulations to the prefecture master for successfully attaining the Tao. Haha, same here. Niu Bai Dao laughed and said, "Congratulations, Su Yu. You've become the overlord of this place. Take good care of them in the future. If you have time, you can go to Daming Prefecture to play." Su Yu smiled faintly and said, "Let's see. I'm afraid that if I go to the human realm, I'll be surrounded and killed. That won't be a huge loss. Here, dozens of invincible Tao protectors have gone to the human realm. If this is to give some people a chance to verify their Tao and advance, they might sell me out. The bigger picture is more important. I, Su Yu, have shallow eyes and can't see through the big picture. Forget it. In addition, everyone take care of my father. I only have one family member in the human realm. If my father dies one day, perhaps I'll completely cease to be a human. Seniors, take care of him a little more so that the 10,000 clans won't see a joke." Everyone understood the meaning behind his words. Silence. Niu Bai Dao smiled and said, "Don't worry, how can that be? Those who like to cause trouble, are all dead this time. It's sad. No one will do that now." Su Yu smiled and said, "That's great. Principal, that's all you have to say. I can't be bothered to say anything about the others. Perhaps those in the human realm don't owe me anything, but those who owe me, my master and the others are in Lu City. I hope they will be fine. As for the myriad heaven sage, I know what he did. Everyone has to kill him. If I meet him again, I'll definitely kill him. Everyone, don't worry. He's too ruthless. He even killed the sun and moon in the mountains and seas. That's still fine. I thought he was going to wipe out his entire family. He must be crazy. If it were me. Ha ha ha, I definitely wouldn't kill so few people, ahem, I was just joking." Su Yu said it as a joke, but he did not mean it as a joke. He casually recalled little hairy ball and patted its head. He laughed and said, "Hairy ball, if you are as strong as Big and the others, don't bother about the mountains and seas, the sun and the moon, the whole family, everyone up and down, not even a chicken or dog is left. And you are kind-hearted. The devil is not a devil, and the saint is not a saint, am I right?" Little hairy ball hurriedly nodded his head. "What you said was right." Outside, everyone fell silent once more. This fellow spoke so nicely, but when he encountered the 10,000 heavenly saints, his words were even more vicious than the 10,000 heavenly saints. The 10,000 heavenly saints killed mountains, seas, sun, and moon. If it was Su Yu, he wouldn't leave even a chicken or a dog alive. The invincibility of the 10,000 races disappeared into the void without a word. On the human side, some of the invincibility experts were still furious, but there was nothing they could do. The 10,000 heavenly saints had been too ruthless this time, and some of the invincibility experts had almost been killed. However, the 10,000 heavenly saints had escaped. Su Yu, were you looking for Su Yu to take revenge? It was hard to say who would be killed. The invincibility experts of the human race also started to retreat. Su Yu smiled and said in a clear voice, on the human side, remember to send over the carriers as soon as possible. Don't say that you don't have them. This time, you've killed many quasi-invincibility experts and many invincible 3-generation figures. If you don't give them to me, I'll remember them for the rest of my life. East Rift Valley. The great Qin King smiled and shook his head. Soon, he said, the great Zhou Manor and the great Qin Manor will each send out a carrier. When we return, we'll send them to him. As for Kong Kong, Zhou Tianyuan, you're good at the Tao of time and space. You and Zhu Tianfang can go look for him. Zhu Tianfang used to be his superior, so we might be able to find him. You're really going to give them to him? There was some hesitation in there as he said, right now, the human race is very lacking in these things. The great Qin King said calmly, give it, if you don't give it. Do you have to force him to find trouble with you before he's willing to give it to you? Lower your attitude. He's no longer the human Su Yu. This time, the polytheistic literature department has disappeared from the human realm. What has disappeared is not the polytheistic literature department, but the polytheistic literature department of the great Xia Manor. He has no ties to the human race. If you don't want to give it to him, you can try it with his father. Perhaps he can even give you a few more carriers. Why don't you give it a try? Instantly, silence fell. Stop fooling around. The Devil Emperor had almost been killed by him, so who would dare to cause trouble for him? As for Su Yu's father, he was a hot potato, so it was better to let the Xia family continue to take care of him. The great Xia Manor had many divine characters, and they were all very devilish. The great Qin King ignored them and let out a sigh. He sighed and said, great victory. But, the trouble of the human realm has only just begun. Everyone, as for the descendants being killed, think about it for a moment. As for the 10,000 heavenly saints, whoever is willing to take revenge, go ahead. I don't want to say anything else. The moment he finished speaking, the silent Xia Longwu said tiredly, Great Qin King, the great Xia Manor has suffered heavy losses. The Xia family has withdrawn from the heavenly battlefield for 10 years. I hope the great Qin King can understand. The great Qin King glanced at him, took a deep breath, and nodded. All right, the great Xia Manor doesn't need to guard the heavenly battlefield for 10 years. The great Ming Manor doesn't need to send anyone in for 5 years. Everything else will be the same. Following his words, the great Xia King and Xia Longwu left without looking back. The group of unrivaled experts remained silent as if they were deep in thought. The Great War had ended, and the calamity of the human race had only just begun. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2269. 2269 Chapter 495 After the Event 1. The long-prepared battle that surrounded Xia Long's martial Dao ended with the appearance of the 2 half-emperors of the Devouring God clan and the killing of the Demon Emperor's 2 incarnations. The human race had won. Of course, they had also used all their trump cards. There were gains, but there were also sacrifices. They had died in battle for dozens of days, and they had been slaughtered by the myriad heaven saint for dozens of days. The 2 holy lands had been burned to ashes. The 10,000 heavenly saints was truly ruthless. He had even destroyed the Tianyuan sacred lands of the 2 great sacred lands. The warehouse within the sacred lands was filled with treasures. The 10,000 heavenly saints did not plunder them. He burned all those things and turned them into yuan qi. It dissipated in the entire human realm. The resources were gone. The treasures that the two great sacred lands had accumulated for hundreds of years were burned to the ground. On the other hand, the dual saint mansions had a frighteningly rich yuan qi. However, it was gradually dissipating as it spread to other areas. Cries could be heard from the dual saint mansions. In this battle, the ones who suffered the greatest losses were not the myriad clans or the Grand Xia Manor. Instead, it was the dual saint mansions. The sun and moon were completely destroyed, but that was not accurate either. There were also some sun and moon, a few old men who were lucky enough to survive, and a few sun and moon who participated in the battle. It wasn't that no one from the two great saint lands had participated in the battle. There were also 7 or 8 sun and moon experts who had participated in the battle. A few old men and a few experts from the middle-aged and young generation were still alive. Human realm. Various manners. On the first day after the battle, a curtain of light suddenly appeared in the sky above the various manors. On it was the battle of the Great Xia Manor's southern origin. In the battle of the southern origin, more than 100 suns and moons had fallen. There were more than 10 suns and moons of the human race. In this battle, more than 10 suns and moons of the Great Xia Manors had died, and the dragon martial guards were almost completely wiped out. In this battle, some people were fighting with their lives on the line, while others were watching from the sidelines. Some people were dying, while others were cowardly. On this day, someone showed this scene in the manors without saying a word. It wasn't showing the members of the Xia clan or the Zhu clan, but a group of young men. Wan Mingzi, the grand-nephew of the 10,000 heavenly saints. He had returned. He had returned from the heavenly battlefield. He had obtained this item from the Xia clan, and he had brought his young alliance army with him everywhere he went. He wanted to exonerate his great-uncle. His great-uncle wasn't a traitor, nor was he a devil. He had killed 2 unrivaled experts, and one of them was a traitor of the human race. As for the others, they all deserved to die. He didn't know if this would work, but he wanted to give it a try. He wanted the entire human race to see this scene. His great-uncle wasn't a traitor, and he was also fighting a bloody battle. It was just that, he had been a bit too radical. He had slaughtered 2 holy lands and fought against Blue Sky. However, Blue Sky had also led his holy sect to their deaths in this battle. He had killed a quasi-unrivaled expert and tangled with an unrivaled expert. The various manors remained silent. No one had attacked Wan Mingzi, and it was difficult to say what their attitude was toward the 10,000 heavenly saints. Saints? Demons? The experts of the 2 great saint lands were somewhat related to the various manors. Some were blood brothers, some were cousins, and some were uncles and nephews. This time, the 10,000 heavenly saints had massacred all of the mountains, seas, sun, and moon. The feelings of the human realm experts were difficult to understand. Wan Mingzi didn't care about any of this, nor did he care whether or not someone would attack him. He brought the like-minded young alliance army and showed them everywhere. He didn't have any thoughts of his own, he even found the images of the 10,000 heavenly saints massacring the 2 holy lands. He found the images of the 10,000 heavenly saints killing Qiu Sua and the god of war. They were also showing the images of his great-uncle destroying the 2 holy lands. The human race no longer had any holy lands. Among the people, some cursed the 10,000 heavenly saints, and some cursed the powerful experts who had not participated in the battle. Most of the people who cursed the 10,000 heavenly saints were focused on the time when he had slaughtered the powerful experts of the holy lands. As for the time before, when he had killed the onlookers, no one had said anything. Justice and injustice were in the hearts of the people. However, some people felt that the 10,000 heavenly saints had gone too far in slaughtering the sun, moon, mountain, and sea holy lands. Those people might not have not participated in the battle, and some might have indeed received orders to defend the holy lands. The 10,000 heavenly saints did not even ask questions. They were all killed. This was also the reason why the 10,000 heavenly saints had said that he had become a devil. He did not ask, did not want to ask, did not want to ask. The Holy Land had already rotted. If it was not uprooted, it would not shock the world. Killing a few people was not enough to completely change the Holy Land, it would be completely destroyed. As long as the Holy Land existed, it would continue to rot. Therefore, he chose to kill them all. He didn't give the sacred land any chance to revive. Without the sun and moon of the mountains and seas, how could it still be called a sacred land? Would Invincible host it personally? This was also better than the sun and moon of the mountains and seas. At the very least, Invincible knew the situation of the human realm and knew that it wasn't the time to enjoy it. The human realm was in turmoil. The myriad clans in the heavens were also in turmoil. This time, there were quite a few human Tao protectors, a total of 7. And this time, the small clans also took advantage of the situation. There were actually quite a few Tao protectors. There were 6 experts who had Tao protectors in their small worlds. In other words, there were 13 experts who had Tao protectors this time. At the same time, a new force was born in the heavens battlefield. Ancient City Alliance. 35 ancient cities formed an alliance. As for where the last one was, some people knew, but no one knew. It was the only empty ancient city. It had been submerged in the sea for countless years, and no one cared about it. As for Su Yu, he also sent a message to the city lords of the ancient cities, or rather, an announcement. A month later, Ancient City Grand Star would hold an Ancient City gathering to discuss the Ancient City Alliance and split the Starry Sky Mansion's quota. The city lords all responded. Even the 9 city lords who had helped out hadn't left their positions yet. They were still waiting for Xiao Longwu to help them escape. As for whether Xiao Longwu would come or not, they would wait until he stabilized his realm. Anyway, before that, it was best to join the Ancient City Alliance. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2270. 2270 Chapter 495 After the event 2. Su Yu's might could be seen from the heavens. The various ancient stone sculptures had completely different attitudes toward Su Yu compared to the other city lords. If they wanted to survive in the heavens, they couldn't do so without the support of Invincible. The other city lords would usually have to rely on the various races to be invincible. Now, if they could really form an alliance and the ancient stone sculptures were willing to take action, then everything would be fine. This was also an extremely powerful force. As for the other races, they didn't have the time to care about it. The 6 experts of the small clans who had just reached the Tao realm were gathering the forces of the Thousand Area Alliance. The demon race was in turmoil. The god race and the immortal race wanted to cut off the benefits of the demon race in the heavenly battlefield, including the small worlds that the demon race had conquered. Recently, it had been very lively. This time, the demon race had lost 4 invincible experts, and the demon emperor was seriously injured. The demon clan had occupied a large number of treasures in the southern battlefield. How could they not share a large number of secret realms? Of course, at this moment, the other clans didn't forget to continue suppressing the human clan. Not only did they not relax, but they also tightened their grip. The human clan had 9 more invincible experts, 8. It was more dangerous than before. At this moment, if they didn't suppress the human clan, what would happen to the human clan? Of course, after this, very few humans would be able to attain the Tao in a short period of time. Yun Chen, Zhu Tiandao, Cheng Mo, Wu Ji, these people still had a chance. However, if the human race were to do it again, it wouldn't be as simple as this time. This time, Su Yu's words of meritorious service weren't empty words. If it wasn't for Su Yu, who knew how many more people would have died this time? Without the stone sculptures, the last few invincible figures of the human realm who had lost 3 lives would definitely make a move. If they made a move, perhaps they would die. Miu and the others were in the state of 3 incarnations as one. Unfortunately, they were ambushed by the stone sculptures, which was why they were killed so quickly. Zhu Tiandao's ability to intimidate so many invincible human realm warriors was also related to the 2 big hairy balls. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been so easy. Ancient city of Xinhong. In the city lord's mansion, Suyu didn't have the time to care about other places. At this moment, he was reversing the death qi. Turning the death qi into life qi and maintaining the undead state, he felt that he was almost done for, but he still had to change back. The current Suyu was facing a difficult problem. His young aperture was constantly absorbing his yuan qi at a very fast speed. It was as if this thing would never be able to absorb enough yuan qi. This time, Suyu had completed 65 casts of his body. His willpower and divine runes had both improved greatly. The saber qi in the 144 apertures had completely completed a transformation. This was the transformation Suyu had completed when Xia Long's martial saber cleaved in all directions. Of course, without devouring the essence blood, Suyu would not be able to possess the strength of the 8th level of the Sun Moon. And this time, the heavenly celestial race's essence blood that he had extracted previously had all been used up. The Sun and Moon blood essence that he had stored for a long time was almost all used up. He had also used up the Sun and Moon mystic yellow liquid, but he still had quite a bit of heaven and earth mystic light. He still had 3 carriers and 2 from the human race. He did not know if he could send them over. I still have 3 carriers and quite a bit of heaven and earth mystic light. There are more than 700 strands. I only have 7 left. It's more than enough. Divine Vitality Fruit, 5-element Spirit Fruit, Dragon Blood Fruit Tree, Demonic God Fruit, these are all used to transform vitality. There's quite a lot of first-level Sun Moon blood essence. There are still more than 400 drops. Suyu did not think much of it. Of course, he could use it to extract heaven vitality. The blood essence of first-level Sun Moon could not help him increase his strength now. When Tombstone was still in his hands. This time, Suyu had lost the Sun Moon mystic yellow liquid. He did not suffer any other losses, but his gains were not bad. At the very least, his strength had increased by a large margin. Coupled with his young aperture, it was a huge increase. With a body of 65, the strength of his acupuncture points was close to 900,000. When his young aperture was fully opened, Suyu's explosive strength could almost double. This was a very frightening bonus. The young acupuncture points were too powerful. Unfortunately, such a powerful young acupuncture point required a huge price to pay. It always needed energy to provide. Only Suyu was rich and could absorb the aura of death to satisfy it. Otherwise, it would be difficult for him to satisfy the absorption of the young acupuncture point. If that was the case, he would have to be like Bai Feng's grandfather, cultivating in seclusion all day long. With his full explosive strength, the strength of his young acupuncture points is close to 1.8 million points. This time, Suyu had also fought with those experts. He could roughly judge some things. Under normal circumstances, the explosive strength of the 3rd level of the Sun and Moon was around 800,000 aperture strength. The 6th level of the Sun and Moon was around 2 million aperture strength. The 9th level of the Sun and Moon. Suyu had previously fought with experts at the 8th level of the Sun and Moon, but he had not fought with those at the 9th level. At the 7th level, the strength of the Sun and Moon would normally be around 3 million aperture strength. The 8th level of the Sun-Moon realm was probably close to 4 million. Suyu had swallowed the blood essence of those at the 8th level of the Sun-Moon realm, so he could roughly feel how powerful they were. As for the 9th level, Suyu estimated it to be around 5 million apertures. These were the strength of experts under normal circumstances. The experts and geniuses of the gods and devils were a little stronger. Madhua and the others, or the geniuses on the list, did not need to pay attention to their realms. It was meaningless. It was normal for them to cross ranks and kill people. There's still a long way to go. Su Yu sighed. According to his situation, after completing the 72 casts, his strength would reach over 1.7 million apertures. He didn't know if his young apertures would be able to double his strength by then. If they could. Su Yu's battle strength exceeded 3 million apertures. In other words, if he really reached the physical body of Ling Yun, he should be able to fight against a 7th or 8th level Sun-Moon expert. At that time, he would truly possess his current strength. It was terrifying. Su Yu wouldn't need too long to complete the 7th level of the Sun-Moon realm. However, after witnessing those invincible battles and the half-emperor making a move, Su Yu felt that he was still too weak. Even if he reached Ling Yun, he wouldn't be able to defeat an expert at the 9th level of the Sun-Moon realm. Of course, if he completed the transformation of his origin chi. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2271. 2271 Chapter 495 After the Event 3. Su Yu felt that if he really reached the peak of Ling Yun, he should have no problem reaching the 9th layer of the Sun and Moon. The prerequisite was that the problem of the young aperture had to be solved. Otherwise, there would be a problem sooner or later. Su Yu had absorbed too much death chi. He felt that he was about to become a dead spirit. He calculated his gains and tested his strength. Su Yu thought of many people. Wan Tiansheng, Lu Wenyan, Xia family, Lan Tian, Zhu Tiandao. This time, the Great Ming Mansion had produced a Niu Baidao, and the Great Ming Mansion had 3 invincible ones. The Great Xia Mansion had suffered heavy losses, but with the addition of Xia Long who had attained the Dao, 2 powerful invincible ones were not bad. The Southern Borderless had attained the Dao. Mystic Armor. Su Yu sighed in his heart. He actually preferred the Mystic Armor with the mask on, and not the Southern Borderless at this moment. When he found out that the Black Armor was Southern Borderless, Su Yu also sighed. Yi Beishan's teacher. Lu Wenyan's Grandmaster. He had to at least call him Great Grandmaster. If he was not Southern Borderless, but someone else, any human, Su Yu would have to admire him. The human race was indeed powerful, to be able to make it this far. The Black Armor had helped Su Yu quite a lot. Including developing Su Yu into the Heaven Hunting Pavilion, it was probably to protect him. However, when Su Yu found out that he was from the Southern Borderless, his emotions were also very complicated. Outsiders, such as Zhu Tianfang and Zhou Tianyuan, had become ministers. Su Yu felt that these people were quite powerful. Including Zhou Tianyuan. Su Yu did not feel anything wrong with this guy who pretended to be dead. Everyone had their own way of living. As long as Zhou Tianyuan did not betray them, it was fine. He even helped them to verify their Dao at this moment, even if there were 2 people from the Zhou family. However, Su Yu did not say anything. Just as Wan Tiansheng had said, it was normal for people to have selfish motives. The great Ming king had even given the opportunity to attain Dao to his son, not Niu Bendao. Niu Bendao did not say anything either. It was normal for people to give their children what they had obtained. However, in the endless south, the more Su Yu thought about it, the more complicated it became. Did this person really not know the situation of the many divine inscriptions all these years? He definitely knew. It was impossible that he didn't know. However, he didn't go back. With his strength, he was almost invincible. If he really brought Yun Chen back, the polytheistic culture wouldn't be so miserable these past few decades. The 2 of them were almost invincible. The Xia family went into hibernation. Su Yu didn't say anything, but the 2 of them went into hibernation. This was the true descendant of the polytheistic culture. It was a very complicated feeling. Su Yu actually knew that hibernation might be a better choice. For example, this explosion, killing the traitor, strengthening the power of the polytheistic culture, taking the opportunity to prove his Tao, allowing the polytheistic culture to produce the first invincible expert to prove his Tao. This was a good thing. However, after enduring for countless years, as Lu Wenyan's direct martial ancestor, this wasn't suitable. The Lu family was destroyed because of this. Southern Boundless. Su Yu silently muttered, I would rather you be the Black Armor and not the Southern Boundless. He didn't think about him anymore. He thought about it and thought about the heaven-hunting pavilion. Suddenly, Su Yu smiled and put on the white mask. In the next moment, he took out his heaven-hunting atlas. Now that his superior was gone, so was his superior. He wanted to know if there was anyone who cared about him now. If there wasn't, could he continue using this identity? In any case, no one had found his location. Calling the heaven-hunting pavilion. Heaven-hunting pavilion headquarters. In the extremely quiet headquarters of the heaven-hunting pavilion. The leaders of the Xianhuang and Xianhuang divisions had betrayed them, or rather, they had restored their identities. They had killed dozens of elders and whiteface, causing the 4 divisions to be nearly destroyed. At this moment, the heaven-hunting pavilion was also licking its wounds. There were 2 pavilion masters, 2 floor masters, 2 division leaders, and 6 invincible existences. No, actually, there were 7. The first elder of the law enforcement division was also invincible. Of the 9 law enforcement elders, 2 died this time, and there were 7 more. 7 were invincible, and 6 were quasi-invincible. This was the current high-end power of the heaven-hunting pavilion. However, the department head of the Heaven Department and the pavilion master of the East Pavilion had been sleeping. At this moment, there were only 11 people in the hall. 5 were invincible, and 6 were quasi-invincible. These people kept silent until someone shouted outside, "My lords." Just now. Xian Jiu came quickly. Xian Jiu. Someone snorted, "What Xian Jiu? Su Yu is Su Yu. Where did Xian Jiu come from?" The person outside did not dare to make a sound either. Soon, an old voice sounded. The South Tower Master said indifferently, "Got it. Transfer him here." Yes. The South Tower Master said softly, "Let's see what he wants to say." This guy is not weak now. His power is not weak. The heaven-hunting pavilion suffered heavy losses this time, but they have also completed the mission. At least, the chaotic world is approaching. After he finished speaking, the Earth Department head said gloomily, "Let's not talk about this. Su Yu's matter is not a big deal. We can let him go. A Xianjiu is not a big deal. I just want to know where the real heads of the Xian Department and the Huang Department have gone. Zhu Tianfang should have entered the pavilion more than 100 years ago. Let's not talk about the specific problems that happened more than 100 years ago. However, Zhou Tianyuan only happened more than 50 years ago. At that time, the Xian Department had a minister. Many people looked at the pavilion master of the South Tower. According to the ranking, the 2 highest-ranking people in the heaven-hunting pavilion were the 2 sleeping ones, followed by the pavilion master of the South Tower. After that, the pavilion master of the West Tower, the pavilion master of the North Tower, the minister of the Earth Department, and the great elder of law enforcement. The pavilion master of the South Tower was silent for a while, then he said, "I know about Zhou Tianyuan entering the pavilion." No one said a word. They had guessed it. When Yibatian fell, the human race said that we sold out their whereabouts. They kept pestering us and killed countless heaven-hunting pavilion members. Do you still remember? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2272. 2272 Chapter 495 After the event show subscribe, 4. Everyone nodded slightly. Later, the head of the Sky Division woke up from his slumber and secretly fought with the great Zhou King once. After that, the human race stopped pursuing it, but Zhou Tianyuan also took the opportunity to enter the Xian division. The head of the Earth division said coldly, "Then what about the original head of the Xian division?" The South Tower Lord was silent for a while. He said, "He's still alive. I asked for his permission on this matter. He went to the 2 sleeping areas and cultivated there. I didn't mention this matter, and Zhou Tianyuan didn't attack our people. The one who really attacked was Zhu Tianfang. Zhou Tianyuan didn't kill the Heaven Hunting Pavilion's people, but Zhu Tianfang killed them. That was truly ruthless. How did Zhu Tianfang get in?" The South Tower Lord shook his head. I really don't know. If I remember correctly, the last minister of the Huang department joined the Heaven Hunting Pavilion over 800 years ago. I don't know at all why there was a change in the middle. Perhaps only those 2 know. Just as they were talking, a person silently entered the main hall. The few of them instantly attacked. That person hurriedly said, "I'm the head of the Mystic Division." "Zhou Tianyuan, you're courting death." That person helplessly said, "I'm real." Zhou Tianyuan appeared by himself. The agreement from back then has come to an end. It's true. The head of the Sky Division testifies. As he finished speaking, a shadow appeared and said softly, "All right, he's real." Zhou Tianyuan is no longer a member of the Sky Hunting Pavilion. "Greetings, Minister." The experts greeted one after another. This person and the Pavilion Master of the East Pavilion were the souls of the Heaven Hunting Pavilion. The true body of the Minister of the Sky Division didn't descend and said softly, "The matter of Zhu Tianfang might be related to the Great Ming King. The Great Ming King might have killed the previous minister of the Huang Division and stuffed Zhu Tianfang in." Everyone was surprised. It was impossible. If he killed that person, there would definitely be a strange phenomenon. The head of the Sky Division said calmly, "Maybe he killed him in a certain ruin, or maybe he killed him in the second ruin that he found. Maybe that ruin was taken by the head of the Huang Division. More than 400 years ago, the head of the Huang Division might have gone to the human realm. We don't know, but he ambushed and killed him. Maybe the mask wasn't broken, and the Great Ming King might have taken his place for a period of time and then handed it over to his son." Hearing this, everyone was speechless. The Great Ming King. The Zhu family has been hiding for a long time. Humph, this time, they have been completely exposed. Zhu Tiandao killed 4 immortals. Do you know anything about it? There should be something wrong. It might not be Zhu Tiandao who killed them. The Minister of the Sky Department said indifferently, "Those 3 people died in another passage. That passage is near the ancient Devouring God realm. It might have something to do with the 2 members of the Devouring God clan." They nodded. They didn't believe that Zhu Tiandao could kill 4 people at once. Of course, without evidence, who would dare to ask those 2 Devouring God experts? The head of the Sky Division didn't say anything more. He quickly said, "The head of the Yellow Division is temporarily vacant. So you just contacted the Heaven Hunting Pavilion. What do you want to say?" The head of the Xian Division who had just returned smiled and said, "I'll talk to him." While he was talking, the great elder of law enforcement said indifferently, "Head, the human race, could they still be hiding in the Heaven Hunting Pavilion?" The Minister of the Heaven Department smiled and said, "It doesn't matter whether they are there or not. I also don't care about your race. If your race is in danger, you might make the same choice. I just hope that you don't learn from Zhu Tianfang. He is too ruthless." Zhou Tianyuan didn't betray them. He could only say that he had restored his identity. Zhu Tianfang had really betrayed them. This fellow's position wasn't right. It could be that old fart, his father, had killed the real minister. After these words were said, the few invincible experts fell silent. They sighed and didn't say anything else. The Heaven Hunting Pavilion was a mix of fish and dragons. This time, the human race was in danger. If their race was in danger, would they make a move? It was hard to say. The meaning of the Minister of the Sky Division was very clear. If you make a move, do as you wish. Don't imitate a certain someone and just kill them directly. It would be enough to trap and kill dozens of suns and moons. Zhu Tianfang, on the other hand, was silent and ruthless in killing. At this moment, the returning head of the Xian division held the sky hunting map and chatted for a while. He smiled and said, Suyu said that he still wants to join the sky hunting pavilion. It would be best if he could open the sky hunting pavilion in the ancient city of Hongstar, including the other 34 ancient cities. Just give him an elder. He will be in charge of the sky hunting pavilion's branches in the 35 cities. Otherwise, he won't allow us to open our business in the sacred city. Everyone was speechless. Was he addicted to it? He still wanted to be an elder. His identity had been exposed, yet he actually became an elder openly. Yet, he still wanted the heaven hunting pavilion to continue opening its business. If he didn't want to be an elder, he still wanted to suppress the heaven hunting pavilion? No way. Suyu, that bastard, can't wait to kill our heaven hunting pavilion. It's not impossible. Suyu still has the ability. Moreover, he still wants to ally with the 36 cities. Without his permission. I'm afraid that it will be difficult for the heaven hunting pavilion branch to open its business. I think it's possible too. The heaven hunting pavilion doesn't lack experts and geniuses from all races. Now that Suyu's identity has been exposed, we know that he's Suyu. That's enough. Of course, put less stuff in each division to prevent him from robbing us. As long as we don't let him participate in some secrets, I think it's not impossible for him to become an elder. His methods are still sufficient. When he was in the human realm, the heaven hunting pavilion became famous and even accepted many human sun and moon members into the pavilion. Speaking of which, Suyu didn't kill many members of the heaven hunting pavilion. He and Zhu Tianfang can't be treated the same. Several invincible and quasi-invincible experts expressed their opinions. It wasn't impossible to give Suyu the position of an elder. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2273. 2273 Chapter 495 After the Event 5. Moreover, if Suyu really caused trouble, the heaven hunting pavilion's window to the outside world would be gone. If the 35 ancient cities blocked the heaven hunting pavilion, the losses would also be huge. These branches were the heaven hunting pavilion's window to the outside world. Without these branches, it would be very difficult for the heaven hunting pavilion to gather intelligence and develop its business. The key was that the other party was now in charge of the 35 cities. Although it might not be possible, the success rate was still very high. Not only was Suyu able to reach an agreement with the stone statue, he was also generous. This time, when he said that he would give it to the bearer, he did not hesitate and gave it to the City Lord of Milky Way City and the City Lord of Azure Fox City. The City Lord of Azure Fox City had killed people for him and lured the flame demon away. The City Lord of Heavenly River City, it was hard for everyone to say anything about this. The 6 city lords that followed after Suyu had scolded many people. When Suyu said that he would give it to the City Lord, they thought that he would only give it to the next 6. Who knew that this fellow would give it to the first 6? They had nothing to say and they did not discuss whether they would give it to the first 6. However, it was true that Suyu was generous and that he was a man of his words. 2 carrying objects, to be honest, the city lords had only gambled on their luck. In the end, Suyu really gave it to them. This item wasn't that good. After discussing for a while, the head of the Sky Division smiled and said, if he wants to be an elder, then let him be. Didn't Nan Wujiang become a black armor elder in his lineage? Let him have this title. He doesn't even need to wear a mask. Let him ask Nan Wujiang for it. If he gets it, then he'll be an elder of the Sky Division. It's good as well, so that Nan Wujiang won't sneak in again. After hearing his words, the others had no objections. Besides, they had no choice but to accept it. Mystic armor. Su Yu was taken aback. You want me to be the mystic armor? This is a little awkward. It wasn't strange for the heaven hunting pavilion to agree to it. If they didn't accept it, it would be difficult for them to find fault with it. As for why they insisted on becoming an elder, they had so many good items, and there was even a discount for an elder. How great was that? It would be a waste if he didn't become an elder. He could buy anything in the heaven hunting pavilion, be it a vessel or an item, but an elder would give him a 50% discount. With such a good policy, why would he want to leave? Furthermore, he would receive a commission upon completion of the transaction. As an elder, a commission would be good as well. If he were to become an elder for 100 yuan, he could buy it for 50 yuan and receive a commission. An elder's commission would be even higher, 1%, which would be 10 times more than white flour. If he were to spend 49.5 yuan to buy 100 yuan worth of items, wouldn't he smell good? As for the fact that the heaven hunting pavilion knew his identity, what was the big deal? At worst, he could just give up his mask and stay in the city lord's manor all this time just to buy things cheaply. Even so, he had to continue joining the pavilion. Didn't he see that Zhou Tianyuan had become a minister and embezzled a lot of money? The Zhou brothers had verified his identity, so he had all four of them. Maybe they were the ones who gave them the Lu family's money, which was 6 yuan. Maybe they were the ones who gave them the Qin family's money. It was obvious that Zhou Tianyuan had embezzled a lot of good stuff. Su Yu also wished he could become a minister. How many years had Zhou Tianyuan been in the pavilion? Only 50 years. Su Yu was in a good mood after the heaven hunting pavilion agreed. At least you know what's good for you. Otherwise, I'll really close your door and let you go to hell. I don't care about them anymore. I'll go into seclusion and break through 72 casting. Then, I'll hold an alliance meeting to confirm the position of my boss. Su Yu muttered a few words and quickly called out the little hairy ball. He stared at the little hairy ball for a while and suddenly said, "Master Ball." Little hairy ball stared at him with his eyes wide open. Su Yu also looked at him. Little hairy ball stared at him for a while and said in horror, "I'm afraid." "Don't be afraid." Su Yu laughed and said, "How can you be afraid? Your Highness, the crown prince of the god-devouring clan, from now on, you will be Master Ball. We are good brothers and good friends. Your parents are. Your parents. Little hairy ball added, "I am familiar with this routine." That's how you recognize them. You have many relatives. Su Yu laughed and said, "That's what I mean. We are family. You always want to pinch me to death." Little hairy ball felt wronged and began to tremble again. It was not afraid, but it was showing off. Am I very powerful? Am I very powerful? To be honest, little hairy ball did not know that they were so powerful. What did it know? It did not know anything. It only knew that Big Boss was known as the half-emperor. It did not know anything else. Now that it knew, it was amazing. Su Yu smiled and said, "It's a misunderstanding. It's all a misunderstanding. Look at you, you've already advanced to the mountain and sea realm. I gave you a lot of good food, didn't I? Love is filled with hatred. I always scare you on purpose to let you improve faster. Look, you've only been with me for a short while, but you've already flown into the mountain and sea realm. Hurry up." Little hairy ball thought for a moment and nodded. Hurry up. So, let's not dwell on the past. We're all brothers. You have to make it up to me. Little hairy ball was eager to give it a try, and its eyes lit up. Su Yu smiled amiably and said, "Go ahead. I want to eat the divine runes. First, I want to be robbed, and then I want to eat fire." With a bang, Su Yu smashed it flat with a punch and snorted. Behave yourself and even start shaking. You're too big and they can't come out now. Keep a low profile and I'll teach you a lesson. Have you opened a dyeing mill? Little guy, you can't become a genius if you don't fight. You're still thinking about my divine text. I can't beat you to death. Those two from your family are still in the ancient god-devouring realm. Little hairy ball was embarrassed. It knew it. Sure enough, it was just talking, but it would turn hostile if it was serious. It flew back to its sea of consciousness and continued licking the divine text to comfort itself. Forget it, forget it. I won't eat it. Sweet things are good at deceiving people, deceiving balls. Su Yu curled his lips. He had guessed that you wouldn't be willing to turn hostile. You're still thinking about my album. This little fellow is getting more and more sinister. I can't give it a good face, lest this fellow tries to take an inch and take a mile. If it wants to eat my divine runes today, it might have to eat the album tomorrow. However, I can't talk about the matter of squeezing to death anymore. If I squeeze to death, those two at my house are too terrifying. They had to build a good relationship first. In its mind, little hairy ball was also thinking that it couldn't fall out and continue to curry favor with Xiang Xiang. Sooner or later, it would find an opportunity to eat that Xiang Xiang's toy. It was getting more and more fragrant, and it kept feeling that if it ate it, it would become so powerful. At this moment, each person and ball were harboring evil intentions. One had a fake smile on his face, while the other had eyes filled with innocence and cuteness. At the same time, he was cursing the other party in his heart. He wasn't a good person. His smile was sinister, and it was so cute that it was fake. In any case, Su Yu did not believe that little hairy ball was so cute. This ball was not a good ball. A good ball would not be able to eat the divine text and sea of will so easily. As for little hairy ball, he did not believe that Fragrant Smile's brilliant smile was out of good intentions. Those who laughed loudly were all bad people. After interacting with each other for so long, who would not know who was who? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2274 2274 Chapter 496 Alliance on the Verge 1. All worlds were at peace. 1 month after the human realm experts ascended to the Tao, there were countless small battles in the world. However, the great battles in the mountains and seas had almost never happened again. The sun and moon were rare, and no one was invincible. However, as time passed, the heavens battlefield became active again. Have you heard? The Ancient City Alliance meeting that Su Yu is holding seems to be held in the next 2 days. I've heard. The Starry Manor is about to open, and the 36 ancient cities are also going to get a share. I think it won't be that easy for Su Yu to consolidate the ancient city forces. Don't forget that some ancient city lords actually have the support of some powerful clans. Ancient city lords were the overlords of a region. The various powerful clans naturally had their eyes on the ancient cities. Among the 35 ancient city lords, there were still some powerful clans that had people backing them. Including the city lord of Tianhe City, there were actually some human clans behind them. At the very least, they had some relations with Xiaolongwu. Su Yu wanted to consolidate the 36 ancient cities' forces, and the myriad worlds were actually watching. Everyone could see that Su Yu had the support of the stone sculptures. However, the stone sculptures were not omnipotent. Within the rules, the stone sculptures also had to obey the rules. If the other city lords were really unwilling, how would Su Yu consolidate them? In 2 days, it would be the time for Su Yu to hold the grand meeting. Human Realm, Grand Xia Manor. There were many things that needed to be done. A large number of experts from the Grand Xia Manor died in battle, causing the Grand Xia Manor's influence in the heavenly battlefield to have no choice but to shrink. City Lord Manor. In the meeting hall. At this moment, experts were gathered. Xia Longwu sat on the manor lord's throne, silently looking down at those people. He looked at the meeting hall that was much more desolate compared to before. In the past, there were many suns and moons, but now, there weren't many people left. There weren't many suns and moons left in the great Xia manor, and most of them were in seclusion with injuries. When everyone had arrived, Xia Longwu looked at the sparse crowd below and sternly said, "Silence." The crowd below instantly quieted down. Xia Longwu spoke directly and didn't beat around the bush. He went straight to the point and said, "I've successfully attained the Tao. I've been consolidating my realm for a month, and I only managed to gather everyone here today to discuss the matters of the manor." Everyone shouted, "Mansion Master, he has advanced to become invincible. Great Xia will prosper forever." Xia Longwu raised his hand. He said calmly, "Success in attaining the Tao does not mean anything. A large number of experts in the mansion have died in battle. The dragon warrior guards have all perished. Great Xia Mansion is not the only mansion of Xia Longwu, and since I have advanced to eternity, I'm afraid that I don't have much time to manage the matters of the mansion. Eternity has eternal things to do. My second uncle is seriously injured and dying. His body exploded, and his sea of consciousness was damaged. He won't be able to recover in a short period of time. Xia Sini is in the same situation as my second uncle. Xia Chongqing was killed, and Xia Yinchi left." He looked at everyone. He said calmly, "There aren't many people in the Xia family now. Other than Xia Huyo and Xia Chan who are in the direct line of descent, Xia Yuan is still alive in the collateral line of descent. His talent is not bad. Xia Yuan is at the 4th level of Lingyun, Xia Huyo is at the 3rd level of Lingyun, and Xia Chan is at the 1st level of Lingyun. Everyone, it's time for a candidate to become the 4th mansion master of the great Xia mansion. Everyone, please choose one of these three." As soon as these words were said, someone had a strange look in their eyes. Manager who was here with injuries, upon hearing this, he quickly said, "Mansion master, this isn't appropriate, is it? The few of them are all very weak. Why don't you continue to take the position of mansion master? We can let these few people temporarily take the position of deputy mansion master and try to manage the great Xia mansion." Below, Zheng Ping, who had lost an arm, was speaking. He said loudly, "If the mansion master really wants to retire, it's not impossible. There's no need to think too much about the candidate. It's only natural that Prince Xia Huyo will take over the position of mansion master. Although he was weak, Prince Huyo had the style of a mansion master. He was decisive in killing. Furthermore, the mansion master and the great Xia king were both present. If they supported him for a period of time, he would naturally be able to increase his strength." In the main hall, the other sun moon mountains and seas nodded their heads, while some did not say anything. They were afraid that it would be difficult to convince the masses. The great Xia manor had many proud soldiers and valiant generals. Although Xia Huyu was the son of Xia Longwu, it did not mean that everyone would agree with him. His strength was too weak. Furthermore, Xia Huyu had killed many people this time, and the key point was that most of the people he had killed were his own people. They felt somewhat disgusted. Of course, the Marquis had said that he was to take the blame for this matter, and it was his order. However, everyone was smart and knew something about the situation. It was Xia Huyo himself who had done it. Xia Longwu did not say much and said calmly, "Since everyone has different opinions, let's put this matter aside for now." Manager whose opinion? Just as he said this, his eyes moved slightly and he did not say anything else. A moment later, someone at the entrance of the main hall reported loudly, reporting to the manor head, "The lords of the 28 cities have come together to pay an audience. Let them in." Xia Longwu said coolly. A moment later, the 28 city lords entered the main hall. Some were strong, some were weak. The weaker ones were like the city lord of South Origin, Wu Wenhai, who was in the 5th level of the soaring heaven realm. South Origin had been destroyed, and it was still being rebuilt. It wasn't just these people. Behind them were a group of guards wearing light golden armor. There were also some who were strong and some who were weak. However, there were quite a few in the Lingyun Mountains and seas. Of course, when Chief Hu and the others took a look, they all frowned. These people had weak blood and qi, and some of them felt like they didn't have long to live. Furthermore, the style of the armor was different from the soldiers of the Great Xia Mansion, the Demon Suppression Army, and the Dragon Martial Guards. Greetings, Mansion Master. The city lords all greeted him, and the guards behind them also half knelt. Xia Longwu nodded slightly and said, "Everyone has come together without writing anything. What is the matter?" "Manor Head, we are here for the next Manor Head." Beifeng City Lord, a 7th-level Shanghai realm expert, he said directly, "Manor Head is invincible, so we cannot waste time on trivial matters. We are all here for the next Manor Head. The 28 cities of the Great Xia Manor have all signed up to support Xia Huyo. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2275. 2275 Chapter 496 Alliance is on the verge too. The moment these words were said, many people in the main hall felt a little strange. The 28 cities rarely meddled with these matters. Why did they suddenly do this? At this moment, some people had sharp eyes. When they saw the guards, some even secretly used their swords to block the city lords, their expressions couldn't help but change. The 28 city lords, some were helpless, some smiled bitterly, and some didn't mind. At this moment, another person entered the main hall. Dressed in armor and a cape, Xia Huyo stepped into the main hall with a smile on his face. He said, "Father, elders, thank you for your kindness. With the support of the 28 city lords, even if I were to become the manor head, I wouldn't be able to reject it. Since father has become invincible, I will be forced to take over the Great Xia Manor. In the future, I will have to trouble the elders to help me." Xia Huyo had a smile on his face, which made many people speechless. What was this guy talking about? Without waiting for the others to speak, Xia Huyo smiled and said, "Sister Xia Chan has already said that she only supports me as the manor head. As for cousin Xia Yuan, he has also said that because of this battle, his faction did not contribute much. He did not have the face to compete with me for the manor head position. Cousin is so ashamed that he is in closed-door cultivation." Xia Longwu's willpower stretched out, and soon, he saw a small house surrounded by more than 10 mountains and seas in the ruined Great Xia Civilization Academy. In the house, Xia Yuan's face was ashen, and he didn't say a word. As for the experts of the mountains and seas, they were all wearing light golden armor. He looked at his son and smiled. "You want to rebuild the Dragon Martial Guards?" "No." Xia Huyo gritted his teeth, "I want to build the Tiger Guards. Father was the manor head back then and built the Dragon Martial Guards. Now, the Dragon Martial Guards are all gone. I want to build my own guards, the Tiger Guards." Xia Longwu looked at him and did not say anything. Xia Huyo laughed, "Father, I believe that everyone will support me, right, Lord Manager?" He looked at Manager Hu, but Manager Hu ignored him. He looked at his voice transmission talisman and saw that someone had sent him a message. "Grandfather, help. Xia Huyo said that you didn't support him becoming the manor head, so he sent me to the Great Qin Manor to further my studies and enter the Great Qin Military Academy to study." It was a message from Hu Qiusheng. At that moment, not only did Manager Hu receive the message, but everyone else also received the message from their descendants. The meaning was similar. Xia Huyo felt that their strength was too low, and the Civilization Academy had been heavily damaged. They had lost more than half of their elders, so it would be better to send them to the Great Qin Manor to further their studies. If that didn't work, they could send them to the Great Zhou Manor as well. Should they go or not? It wasn't like they were asking for their lives, so wouldn't it be better to send them to further their studies? Manager Hu was speechless. He looked at Xia Huyo and said in a deep voice, "Your Highness, everyone has no objections to you becoming the manor head. It's just that, your strength is too low, and it's difficult to convince everyone." Xia Huyo chuckled and said, "Who said that? How could that be? My great-grandfather is the great Xia King, and my father is the Blood Butcher King. My brother Su Yu is the Alliance Master of the 36 ancient cities. The Great Xia Manor is currently in a state of prosperity, and it should be resting and recuperating. Being the manor head, fighting isn't the first priority. Instead, it can restore one's vitality. I'm in charge of the Xia clan trading company, and I have business relations with all the manors and the heavenly battlefield. If I don't become the manor head, who else can?" Xia Longwu smiled and looked at Xia Huyo. He did not really care much about his son, and was rather surprised by his actions. He said, "If you want to become the mansion master, can you shoulder this responsibility?" Xia Huyo said seriously, "Of course. If even Su Yu can become the leader of the alliance, I'm much stronger than him." Everyone was speechless. "If Su Yu blew you to death in one breath, how could you say that?" Xia Longwu calmly said, "It's not that easy to become the mansion master of the great Xia mansion. Courage, strength, luck, and ability are all indispensable. Your father, I, also walked up step by step back then. Your grandfather died in battle back then. Your second grandfather could have taken over the position of the mansion master. Later, your second grandfather was convinced by me and voluntarily withdrew from the fight for the position of the mansion master." Xia Huyo nodded. "I know. I've heard of your fight. I heard that your second grandfather was going to become the manor head back then, but he was beaten up by you and gave up after that. I still know a little about this, so, whoever wants to fight with me, I'll beat them up as well." Xia Longwu seemed to know what he was thinking. He glanced at him indifferently and said, "If you want to be the manor head, that's fine too. I'll give you a task. If you complete it, then the position of manor head will be handed over to you." "Father, please speak." Xia Longwu said calmly, "This time, I've attained the Tao. The Lord of the 9 cities has helped me. I've also promised them that after attaining the Tao, I'll cut off the death aura passage for them. However, this matter isn't that simple. Moreover, I won't be able to enter the celestial battlefield in a short period of time. As the emissary of the Great Xia Mansion, you'll have to tell them that it'll take some time. The shortest time will be a month, and the longest time will be several years. If you're not killed by the Lord of the 9 cities, then when you return, the Lord of the 9 cities will be yours." As soon as he said that, many people's expressions changed. Xia Huyo said embarrassedly, "That's not necessary, right? Kill me?" Xia Longwu said calmly, "I've gone back on my word because the situation is a little more serious than I expected. These city lords are almost all necromancers. I originally wanted to use the opportunity to prove my Tao to cut off their death aura channel before the necromancer lord appeared. Now, the situation is a little more complicated than this. Some city lords have already reached their limits and are cooperating with me just to survive. If I stall for time, they might die. It's normal for them to vent their anger on you. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories." Chapter 2276. 2276 Chapter 496 Alliance on the Horizon 3. Speaking of which, Xia Longwu continued, "You said that you have a good relationship with Su Yu, but even Su Yu might not be able to become the leader of the alliance this time. The 36 ancient cities might not all submit to him. His strength is still a little weak. You have 2 tasks. First, inform the leader of the 9 cities that I need time to prepare. Second, you will also participate in the Ancient City Alliance and represent the Great Xia Mansion. Xia Huyo hesitated and said, "The Ancient City Alliance and the Great Xia Mansion will also go." Xia Longwu nodded slightly. "Not only the Great Xia Mansion, but many other factions will go this time. Be it causing trouble or getting a share of the spoils, some people do not want Suyu to become the leader of the alliance. Some people want to promote this alliance, but the leader cannot be Suyu." Xia Huyu understood. "Father, do you mean that I want to go to the ancient city and help Suyu become the leader of the alliance?" Xia Longwu looked at him indifferently. "Can you help Suyu? I just want you to pass on the Great Xia Mansion's message that the Great Xia Mansion will support him. If he can't become the leader of the alliance in the ancient city, then be careful. The Great Xia Mansion is still quite stable now and can provide him with a place to protect him." Xia Huyo understood and nodded. "I understand. You're willing to go?" Xia Huyo laughed and said, "I'm willing. I've only been to the main camp in the celestial battlefield. I've never left the Eastern Rift Valley, the Sea of Desire Plain, and the Sea of Stars. It's quite exciting." Xia Longwu said indifferently, "Then let Huang Ting accompany you." Xia Huyo laughed and said, "Huang Ting, how about this? I'll choose the people who will go to the Starry Mansion this time. Let's go together." Xia Longwu said calmly, "Let's wait. After you complete this mission, we'll talk about choosing the people." Xia Huyo felt helpless and nodded, "All right, this is a small matter. I don't need to interfere. Suyu will definitely be able to handle it." As he said this, he looked at the others, he laughed and said, "Seniors, please take care of me in the future. Thank you for your support. All the city lords of the 28 cities have supported me, and I'm flattered. Thank you, Chief Hu, Chief Sheng, for your support." Those city lords were also speechless. Support your head. This fellow had brought people to his door one by one, and they had to support him first. If they didn't support him, they would have to send them to the Great Qin Manor to participate in further training. The Great Qin Manor was about to become a place for him, Xia Huyo. Of course, he was Xia Longwu's only son, and he was a direct descendant of the Xia family. Actually, not many people opposed him becoming the manor head. They just felt that he was a bit weak, and it wasn't appropriate for him to become the manor head now. No one said anything else. Xia Hu left happily. After he left the Ancient City Alliance, he would be the mansion master when he returned. Xia Longwu watched his son leave and shook his head slightly. He did not look like him at all. He had defeated his second uncle, but this guy, forget it. He did not know who he looked like, so he did not care about him. The position of the mansion master of the Great Xia Mansion was actually between him and Xia Chan. As for Xia Yuan, Xia Huyo had killed Xia Chongqing. It was hard to say, but Xia Yuan would definitely remember this matter. Xia Longwu was not so selfless as to hand the Great Xia Mansion over to someone who might be hostile towards his son. After discussing this matter, Xia Longwu continued, 9 Heavens, Tao Seeking, and the Great Xia Civilization Academy. The 3 great civilization academies. All of their governors have died in battle. One Tianxing did not die, but he did not mention it again. The 3 great academies have suffered heavy losses in terms of strength. The Pavilion Elder has lost more than half of his strength. The 3 great academies should merge. Xia Longwu sighed. From now on, the Great Xia Mansion only has 1 Great Xia Civilization Academy. As for the position of the head of the academy, Ji Hong will temporarily take over. Vice-head Xia Chongqing and Yuan Qingdong have fallen. The dean of the Single Divine Literature Academy, Zhou Mingren, has fallen. He hesitated for a moment and quickly said, Wu Yuehua will be the vice-head of the academy and will be in charge of daily affairs. Many people's eyes moved slightly, but no one said anything. Lu Wenyan and the others ran away, but Wu Yuehua didn't. After all, she was the vice principal of the Institute of Civilization's Divine Pill Academy and also a member of the Wu family. The Wu family had suffered quite a heavy blow this time, so she had to stay. The Single Divine Literature Academy. There is no Single Divine Literature Academy anymore. There will only be the Divine Literature Academy in the future. Xia Longwu calmly said, in the future, the Great Xia Manor will not be divided into single and many. In fact, there is no way to pass on more divine literature. The divine literature battle technique stele has disappeared, and there are still 9 heavens and Tao seeking. However, the divine literature battle technique template is rare, so it will not be passed on for the time being. Jia Dequan will temporarily be in charge of the Divine Literature Academy. Xia Changqing's position will be temporarily replaced by Zhao Li. The first deputy prefect, Wu Yuehua, the second deputy prefect, Zhao Li, and the dean of the Divine Literature Academy, Jia Dequan. Compared to their previous strength, the gap was quite large. Xia Longwu sighed, he stood up and said, let's stop here. In addition, Xia Huyo will be sent to the ancient city by Elder Bai to protect the Tao. Elder Bai is of the dragon race, and the ancient city alliance is being held in the Sea of Stars. Although Elder Bai is affiliated with the Great Xia Manor, he is of the dragon race after all. When he arrives in the Sea of Stars, he will have some acquaintances to take care of him. Below, the old dragon shook his head and agreed. However, he felt helpless in his heart. This mission was not easy to accept. Xia Huyo was too weak, and he was the son of Xia Longwu. Of course, he was a direct descendant of the Xia clan and the quasi-mansion master of the great Xia clan. Most people would not target Xia Huyo and kill him. Not only was it useless, but he had also formed a deadly enmity with the Xia clan. What they were afraid of was what might happen. It was not that the Xia family had not provoked their enemies. For example, Xia Longwu had just killed an invincible person, so why would their descendants be afraid of their revenge? Since the invincible person had been killed, the Xia family would take revenge. On this day, the situation in the Great Xia Mansion began to change. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2277. 2277 Chapter 496 Alliance Imminent 4. The opposition and neutral factions were all swept away. The Great Xia Civilization Academy started to reorganize, and Xia Huyo started to prepare to send an envoy to the Ancient City Alliance. Not only the Great Xia Mansion, but at this moment, all the manors, including the 10,000 races and some forces, including the Heaven Hunter Pavilion, were preparing to send an envoy to ancient city Xinghong. In a few days, Suyu would hold the alliance meeting. The ancient cities would meet up. At that time, whether the ancient cities could reach an agreement or complete the alliance was uncertain. If they really formed an alliance, Suyu might not be the person in charge. The focus of the 10,000 worlds was currently on the ancient city of Grand Star. And at this moment, some ancient cities also welcomed some mysterious guests. Ancient city of Chongping. City Lord's Manor. A few mysterious people secretly came over. Someone glanced at the back hall, and the city lord of ancient city of Chongping smiled and said, "Stop looking. It's fine. Lord Chongping doesn't care about these things." As he said that, he smiled and said, "It doesn't violate the rules. That Lord Chongping is the guardian of the ancient city, the guardian of Chongping ancient city, and not the ancient city of Xinghong." The few mysterious people nodded slightly. Someone said with a light smile, "That's for the best." This time, when we came here, the city lord also knew what we meant. Suyu wants to unify the 36 ancient cities and become the lord of the ancient city, but he is still young. Young people had beautiful thoughts, but they were unrealistic. Even if he can fight against the sun and moon, the city lords are all at the 9th level of the sun and moon, or even quasi-invincible. Do we really have to listen to him? The Chongping city lord smiled faintly and said, "Just speak frankly. There's no need to say these things. After all, Suyu has the support of the guardians behind him. One city, one guardian. The ancient city of Grand Star can only represent the ancient city of Grand Star. The person smiled and said, if Suyu can integrate, so can the others. The guards won't care about these things. They care more about the rules. It's the undead realm. Of course, this time, Suyu also created an opportunity for everyone. 36 ancient cities indeed need to be integrated. It's also a powerful force. Whoever controls this force has the right to compete with the 10,000 races. Become the true overlord of the 10,000 races. The mysterious man smiled and said, City Lord, this is a good thing. Suyu is not strong enough. How can he forcefully suppress everyone? In the end, it doesn't matter if everyone makes their own choice or if they compete to determine the winner. No matter what, it's not Suyu's turn to make the decision on everyone's behalf, right? Chongping City Lord nodded slightly, he smiled and said, that's true. However, I'm afraid that there will be people who will support Suyu. After all, he is the one who asked the guard to act for him. Without him, even if the ancient city alliance was established, it would be difficult to maintain its current might. We understand this logic. The mysterious man smiled. That's why we didn't ask the city lord to kill him and deal with him. We only said that Suyu cannot take away the authority of the alliance. For example, we can adopt the human elder system or the god-devil council system and vote together. The establishment of the alliance is a good thing, but the authority doesn't necessarily have to be given to Suyu. He can become one of them, not all of them. The Chongping City Lord nodded slightly. I will consider this. I'm just afraid that Suyu won't be satisfied. He won't be satisfied. He is also one of the lords of the ancient city. Unless he can get rid of the ancient city, but if he really gets rid of the ancient city, Suyu will only be a rather monstrous genius and not the current overlord. The Chongping City Lord nodded and quickly said, that also requires everyone to create some pressure for the ancient city and create some pressure for Suyu. Otherwise, it will be difficult to make him submit. Of course. Such conversations did not only happen in one place, but also in all the ancient cities. Ancient city of Xinghong. In a month's time, Suyu opened his eyes and took a deep breath. His yuan qi swept in all directions. After a month of seclusion, his progress was still alright. His physical body had reached 68 points and he had completed 3 casts. The only problem was that his yang aperture was somewhat troublesome as it constantly absorbed his yuan qi. Only Suyu had more yuan qi and heaven and earth mystic light. Even though he did not reverse the death qi, he could barely maintain it, he could still cast his body. 68 points. There was not much time left until he was 72 points away from casting. It's the end of December. Suyu muttered. By his calculations, it should be the end of the 351st year of the Anping calendar. Very soon, he would enter the 352nd year. At this time last year, he left the Great Xia Manor. In the blink of an eye, he would probably not be able to spend this year with his father. Instead, he would have to spend the year in this ancient city. In a few days, he would be 20 years old. With a little sigh, Suyu walked out of the cultivation room. He walked to the main hall of the city lord's mansion and sensed for a moment. There seemed to be more people in the city. It was no longer as lifeless as before. As he walked out, an old man soon appeared. His physical body was a little weak, but his willpower was still quite strong. He looked at Suyu and the old man said softly, "Little friend Su, I've thought it through. It's better for me to become a resident of the ancient city." "Elder Wang, have you thought it through?" Elder Wang nodded. "I've thought it through. I'm already old, and I don't have long to live. This time, it was all thanks to your help that I was able to save my life. The quest realm is already a thing of the past. Now that I've returned to the human realm, where do I go from here?" Elder Wang sighed, sooner or later, I'll die. It's better to turn into an ancient city resident. Now that little friend is in the ancient city, you can only rely on yourself to take charge of everything. I think this ancient city still lacks a gatekeeper. Why don't you let me go? At the very least, I'll know who entered the city and who left the city. Su Yu said in a deep voice, it's not a good thing for old Wang to become a resident. Old Wang's body was already shattered, and his body was rebuilt. His sea of will was also damaged. Now that he's become a resident, the aura of death is lingering around him. Perhaps old Wang will become a dead spirit in a few years. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2278. 2278 Chapter 496, The Alliance is on the verge 5. Elder Wang chuckled and said, it's only a matter of time before I become a resident. At least I can help. Su Yu pondered for a moment. Elder Wang, are you really not returning to the human realm? No. Elder Wang sighed, people of my generation either became invincible or died in battle. There aren't many old friends left. I can't figure out the thoughts of being invincible. I've been in closed-door cultivation all these years and have broken away from the human realm. I can't keep up with their thoughts. In that case, it's useless to go back. Su Yu was silent for a while. If Elder Wang is willing, he can change into a resident of the ancient city. As for the aura of death, don't worry, Elder Wang. You don't have to bear too much. Elder Wang smiled. Since you don't have any objections, I'll change. If this drags on, I won't be able to bear it. He was already quite old, and he wasn't prepared to take another step forward. This time, he had almost died in battle and was saved by Su Yu. It would be better for him to help Su Yu steer the ship before he died. This ancient city could only depend on Su Yu alone, even the city lord's manor might not be able to leave. He had the strength of an 8th-level sun-moon cultivator at the very least, and his peak stage was even close to the 9th level. Unfortunately, his strength had slipped due to his injuries, and it would be difficult for him to even kill a 7th-level sun-moon cultivator. Su Yu agreed to let him change. Elder Wang smiled and said, then from now on, I'll call you the city lord. I'll need your support to become a resident. Oh right, many creatures have come to the city these past few days, and I think they're trying to test me. Su Yu nodded. They're probably weak, and there aren't many experts. They're afraid that I'll seal the city and kill them. And, indeed. The sun and moon have disappeared, but there are still a few mountains and seas. Su Yu smiled. They're probably here for the ancient city alliance. It looks like the alliance might not go smoothly this time. Su Yu shook his head. These guys will definitely cause trouble. Including some city lords, some of them might be raised by them. They definitely don't want to see me integrate the ancient city's power and really gain a foothold on this side. This was inevitable. Elder Wang asked, then, does the city lord have any countermeasures? Countermeasures. Su Yu thought for a moment and said with a smile, no rush. These guys still have to rely on me. Without me, the Guardians will not stand up for them. Without the Guardians, they are nothing. Su Yu was not too anxious. This alliance had a high probability of succeeding. Moreover, these people did not dare to kick him out. Once he was kicked out, the alliance's greatest reliance would be gone. It was nothing more than seizing power. Su Yu could already imagine that there would definitely be people who would come up with all kinds of methods to divide power or restrict his own methods. However, Su Yu felt that these guys were thinking nonsense. He was the key to getting the stone sculptures to act. I was almost dumb enough to give you the power to divide. As for the city lords who were disobedient, he would naturally think of a way to deal with them. However, these city lords were not weak. The weak 9th level of the Sun-Moon realm was at the powerful quasi-invincible realm. If he was in his own city, he could fuse with the undead and unleash even more powerful strength. It would be quite difficult for Su Yu to deal with them. After completing the 68 casts, Su Yu's physical strength had already exceeded 1.2 million apertures. With his young apertures fully opened and with the help of the divine text, as well as a portion of the Yuan Qi in his apertures having completed the transformation, Su Yu's strength was still quite strong. Of course, if he did not consume the blood essence, he would at most be at the 6th level of the Sun-Moon realm. He was still quite lacking when dealing with those city lords. They were all the masters of ancient cities, and it would be very difficult for the stone sculptures to stand out. Therefore, when dealing with them, he had to be reasonable. Su Yu muttered in his heart, "I'm a reasonable person. I'll just wait to be convinced by reason. This won't do. I won't do this alliance anymore. I'll let you all play around and bring some people who are willing to do it. It's no big deal. Do those idiots think that I have to subdue 36 cities?" Su Yu didn't say anything more and said, "Elder Wang, since you're willing to become a resident, I won't stop you. I'll have to trouble you with some matters in ancient Starred City." Su Yu didn't stop Elder Wang from changing. It was a good thing for him to have someone to help him. Elder Wang's body had been destroyed, and his sea of consciousness had been injured. If he didn't become a resident, it would be difficult for him to recover. If he turned into a resident, Su Yu might be able to think of a way. Old Wang nodded and did not say anything else. He left. He still needed to turn into a resident. With his strength, there was a high chance that he would be a quasi-invincible undead or even Starmoon himself. Su Yu was thinking about a question. Would Starmoon come out? He had not seen her recently, so he missed her. Now that he didn't kill anyone, Xingyu didn't have the right to kill him. Therefore, Su Yu wasn't afraid of Xingyu appearing. He wanted to ask if he could change Xingyu. Last time, he heard that the change was two-way. If he reversed Xingyu, would Xingyu be considered his subordinate? That was the key. This was an invincible-level powerhouse. If he could subdue an invincible-level powerhouse, he would be rich. Su Yu was currently cooperating with these unrivaled experts to build relationships with them. However, none of the unrivaled experts said that they were Su Yu's subordinates. It was unrealistic for Su Yu to just do whatever he wanted. Also, this time, Su Yu had another purpose. He wanted to take this opportunity to reach an agreement with some stone sculptures. Last time, he said that he would become the master of Cloud Sky Ancient City. This time, he had to take up the position as well. If he could hold on, Su Yu felt that he could become a few more city lords of the ancient city. The stone sculptures were the crux of the ancient city. Those city lords were unable to connect to the stone sculptures, so it was pointless for him to think about it. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2279. 2279 Chapter 497, Focus of All Parties 1. In the back hall of the city lord's mansion, Su Yu came again. Xing Hong opened his eyes. He realized that as long as he did not see Su Yu for a few days, Su Yu's strength would increase by a notch. But this time, when he looked again, Xing Hong suddenly said, "Your heavenly aperture is not complete. You have absorbed too much death energy and can't stop it. If this continues, you will sooner or later turn into a dead spirit." His eyesight was really good and he had seen a lot. Heavenly aperture. At this moment, Su Yu finally felt that these old fellows were omnipotent. They knew everything and knew everything. Heavenly aperture. Su Yu said, "I named this aperture as Yang aperture, and there should be a Yin aperture. Yin and Yang become one. I named it Yuan Shan aperture." Xing Hong thought for a while and said, "This name is quite clear. Sir, do you know about the primordial spirit aperture?" "I do." Xing Hong said lightly, "I've only heard of it, but I don't know the details." Even in my era, very few people had the patent to open the heaven aperture. Not everyone can open it. Suyu nodded. Sir, I've only opened half of it now. Can I stop it? The young aperture was very troublesome. Turning into a dead spirit, absorbing too much death chi. As he absorbed it, Suyu realized that some super-dead spirits had really transformed. This was not turning into a dead spirit, right? There was not enough yuan chi to absorb. I'm not sure about the specifics, you should think of a way as soon as possible. After all, you are not a dead spirit. Xing Hong still reminded him, if the young aperture you mentioned was completely filled with death chi and the death chi exploded, you would probably instantly turn into a dead spirit. Now, it all depends on how high the young aperture's capacity is. Any aperture has a limit. It is impossible to absorb and swallow it without limits. Suyu nodded. This was true. In fact, he also felt that there was a limit to the young aperture's continuous absorption. Of course, it definitely wouldn't be fully absorbed so quickly. Elder Ancestor Bai had been absorbing for countless years, but he still hadn't fully absorbed it and didn't explode to death. It could be seen that the young aperture's capacity was still very high. Suyu didn't say anything more and said, Sir, I want to integrate the 36 ancient cities, but I'm afraid not everyone will be convinced by me. Sir, do you think I can do integration? Xing Hong slowly said, What's the meaning of integration? Let the residents of the sacred city be used by you. What can some weaklings do even if they are used by you? Suyu, I have no objection to you wanting to integrate, but what's the meaning? Suyu smiled and said, Sir's words are a little, according to our words, it's easier said than done. Sir is invincible or invincible in the ancient times, so naturally, I don't care. But to me, besides me, there are 34 masters of the ancient cities who can temporarily display quasi-invincible or invincible combat strength. Even if it's just within the city, it's still an incomparably powerful force. Putting aside the fact that it was equivalent to 34 invincible city lords, with 34 city lords working together, it should still be possible to block 10 invincible city lords, right? With such a powerful force, I now have a chance to take it down. Naturally, I hope to take it down. And all of this. I still hope to obtain Sir's support. Xing Hong calmly said, the meaning of being a guardian is not power. Suyu nodded, he smiled and said, I understand. I roughly know your mission, Sir, to guard the undead passageway. To prevent the undead from coming out, or rather, to use living people to offset the aura of death. Whether it's the residents or the living beings who enter the city, they will cultivate when they are alive. Cultivating will deplete the aura of death and offset the aura of death. If there are no living people, the aura of death will spread. In this way, I think the territory of the sacred city will expand and continue to expand, spreading to all the worlds in the universe. Sir, is that so? Xing Hong did not say anything. It was like this. Suyu smiled and said, however, the lords are not willing to ask for help from outsiders, or rather, they are not willing to trust outsiders. Instead, they have to guard against the myriad races in the heavens who have designs on the sacred city and release those dead souls. Therefore, all these years, the lords have not cared about it and allowed the ancient city to develop. And my idea is that if the ancient city alliance were to recruit more people, living people, let them exhaust the death aura and consolidate the Lord's defenses. Xing Hong said indifferently, Suyu, do you know that you are not the first person to bring this up? A long time ago, someone had such a plan. Suyu, do you know that there are 36 sacred cities, but there is only one, and no one? Because the master of the sacred city also had such a plan in the past, and his ambition was even greater than yours. He also wanted to control the undead, and even let the sacred city become the most powerful force in the world, but in the end, he played too big, and played himself to death. Suyu was stunned for a moment. He couldn't help but look at Xing Hong. Xing Hong said calmly, it was many years ago. I almost forgot about it. He was also a talented person. Just like you, he could wear away the aura of death. At that time, he also had the support of some guards, hoping to use him to make the ancient city more stable. But in the end, it was very bad. He wanted to dominate the heavenly battlefield and use the dead souls for his own use. In the end, he played too much. Many lords of the dead souls appeared in the sacred city, and the aura of death spread to the starry sea. In the end, he died. From then on, there was a sacred city that sank to the bottom of the sea, and no one ever entered again. Su Yu frowned. Had such a thing happened before? Did he also know the origin aperture reversal method? Su Yu couldn't help but ask, how did he die? He was killed by the guardian. Xing Hong was extremely indifferent. Even though he was petrified, his expression could not be seen. Yes, he was killed by the guardian. Su Yu could not help but look at him. Xing Hong said indifferently, our mission, or rather, the meaning of our lives, is to guard the undead passageway and prevent the undead spirits and aura of death from spreading to the heavens. He released a large number of undead spirits, but he was unable to suppress them. That means that he does not conform to our rules. He must die unless he can guard those undead spirits and prevent them from causing havoc in the heavens. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2280. 2280 Chapter 497, The Focus of All Parties 2. Su Yu understood. He hesitated and said, Sir, you mean that unless everything is under control, once the spread of undead and aura of death appears and I am unable to control it, then I will violate the rules of your mission. From the master of the sacred city to the rule breaker of the sacred city? That's right. Xing Hong said, so, for you. I'd better give you a few words of warning, so that you won't follow in the footsteps of others. Su Yu nodded. He didn't bother about this. He had nothing to do with the undead now, and he couldn't summon the undead, so it was useless to talk about this. He thought for a moment and said, Sir, in that case, as long as I can help you reduce the pressure of the aura of death, I can get your support, right? Yes. Xing Hong said directly, because, our mission is this. When you comply with our mission's rules, we will give you some support. This is also what you deserve. Including helping you kill a few immortals, it's not because I can leave the city, but because you comply with the rules. Bullsh *T. Su Yu cursed in his heart. It's just to get out of the city. Don't think that I don't know that killing a few immortals is obviously a private job. Sir, if I want to integrate the 36 cities, can I get the support of the other lords? Xing Hong was silent for a moment, hard to say. The guardian was also a living creature. Living creatures also had feelings. Some masters of the sacred city might have feelings if they had been with the guardian for many years. Within the rules, the other party might not necessarily help you. Why would they help you? Can you bear the aura of death for me? Can you bear the aura of death for them? You are only the master of the sacred city of Xinghong, and not all the masters of the sacred city. Su Yu nodded. This was true. The stone sculptures were all experts, and they were all alive. The living had feelings, so it seemed normal for them to favor their own masters. Xinghong said again, of course, you are also the master of the sacred city of Xinghong. Then, from my point of view, I will naturally help you. Su Yu nodded again. It could be said that he had obtained a promise that was not a promise. Xinghong would help him, but it was hard to say for the others. Su Yu added, Sir, if I am also the master of the other cities and bear a part of the death aura for the other guards. Xinghong interrupted, don't do anything rash. I know the speed at which you reverse the death aura. However, even if you are constantly reversing it and enduring it, 3 to 5 cities is the limit. Aren't you going to cultivate? Are you going to continue to reverse the death aura without doing anything else? That's true. Su Yu nodded and sighed. He was still weak at the moment, so he couldn't bear all the death aura in the ancient city. Thinking of this, he said, "Sir, can I reverse the transformation of my Star Moon Sovereign?" This. Xing Hong said indifferently, "It's difficult. She's a death spirit sovereign. Only when you opened your aperture could you absorb a large amount of her aura of death. Absorb, not reverse. If you absorb all of her aura of death, she will also die. Reverse, it means that you can reverse all of her aura of death, including her sea of will, and even her life into a living being. This difficulty is too great. It is not something that the current you can complete. Absorb, not reverse." Suyu had sucked the moon and stars dry, but he had only managed to kill her and not reverse her into a living being. Sovereign of the dead souls, connect to the world of the dead souls. If you reverse your life force, the other party will continue to give birth to death force. Perhaps even if you reverse it for 100 years, the speed at which the other party's death force is born will be slower than yours. In that case, you can kill her, but it's almost impossible to reverse her into a living being. With that said, Suyu understood even more. It was very difficult. "My lord, then can I suck Xingyu to death?" Xing Hong didn't say anything. Suyu said with some anticipation, "If I suck her to death, according to the rules, will there be an even stronger undead sovereign to change me? I don't think Xingyu is very strong. If it were another powerful undead sovereign, such as a half-emperor, perhaps I could hold on too. This way, if I encounter any danger, I can create a half-emperor undead." Xing Hong's heart was tired. At this moment, in the underground tunnel, his feet were constantly trembling. A cold aura spread throughout the entire back hall. Xingyue seemed to be near the tunnel recently. He was a little angry, and his voice suddenly sounded. He said coldly, "Suyu, you can try." "Did you hear that?" Suyu was surprised and a little depressed. Why didn't Xing Hong stop him? Troublesome. Suyu smiled and said, "Lord Monarch, you must be joking." "I was just joking. If I really sucked the monarch dry, perhaps I would have turned into a dead spirit too. I don't want to die. I still want to live." Humph. A cold snort shook Suyu's ears until they became numb. Xingyu said coldly, "You can try. Do you really think that the speed at which the monarch absorbs the aura of death is not as fast as the speed at which you devour it?" She was, after all, a sovereign-level powerhouse. Previously, it was only because she had entered the ancient city and the aura of death was not dense enough that she had suffered a loss from Suyu. Otherwise, the speed at which Suyu absorbed the aura of death would not be able to compare to her recovery speed. Of course, from the time when she was preparing to change her speed to when Suyu wanted to suck her to death, she felt that Suyu would not be able to suck her to death. Unknowingly, Xingyue's thoughts had changed. She was thinking that Suyu would not be able to suck her to death. Instead, she was thinking that she would be able to convert Suyu. Suyu smiled and did not care about her anger. Very quickly, he said, "Lord Monarch, let's not talk about this for now. I am very curious about something. If I were to go to the Starry Mansion, I heard that the aura of death would be cut off. At that time, would I not be able to suck you to death?" "Yes, that's right." Xingyu also suddenly thought of this and secretly rejoiced. She snorted. "You better go to the Starry Mansion and die there. Don't come out for the rest of your life." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 2281. 2281 Chapter 497, Focus of All Parties 3. Now that Suyu wanted to cut off her death aura channel, she was very supportive. She was very annoyed with Suyu. This was because Suyu was constantly absorbing her death aura, but there were no signs of him dying. This made her very worried. Suyu was going to the Starry Mansion. Xingyu said coldly, "The Starry Mansion will open in half a year at most. There are countless opportunities inside. I'm not going in. Suyu smiled and said, to me, I don't lack opportunities. I'm afraid that if I go in, I'll lose contact with the sovereign. I'd better not go in, lest I cut off the death aura passage. That would be troublesome. I heard that if it opens, it'll take a month. If I don't suck the Lord's death aura for a month, I'm afraid I'll suck myself to death. Forget it, I'll just stay in the ancient city and accompany the Lord. Xingyue wanted to curse. Forget it, I won't curse anymore. It's best if you scram. But this fellow might really not go, because if he did, his young aperture would constantly absorb yuan qi. Would he be able to sustain the consumption for a month? If he was unable to sustain it, if it were me, I wouldn't go either. After all, the Starry Manor wasn't a safe place. However, Xingyu said coldly, it's not that you don't want to go, it's that you don't dare to go. Because the Starry Mansion is much more dangerous than you think. You humans didn't find anything at all. The major clans like gods, fiend celestials, and immortals all know that the Starry Mansion has countless benefits. Every time, they would arrange for experts to enter. Only you humans have a meager harvest every time. The Starry Mansion has 9 floors. You humans only wander around the first 3 floors. Even a little bit of heavenly river sand can be treated as a supreme treasure. It's really laughable. Suyu did not think much of it. At this moment, Xing Hong suddenly said, the Starry Mansion is an amazing place. Suyu was shocked. This was an ancient invincible place. He hurriedly said, Sir, you also know about the Starry Mansion. Xing Hong thought for a moment, he sighed and said, I know a little. Don't you humans also have some rumors that this place has something to do with your ancient human emperor? Actually, it's not just that. The Starry Palace is very complicated. As for the specifics, I won't say too much. You only need to understand that the existence of the heavenly battlefield is related to the Starry Palace. The entire heavenly battlefield actually depends on the Starry Palace, not the Starry Palace. Suyu's heart skipped a beat. He understood. Others might think that the Starry Palace was a relic of the heavenly battlefield, but the truth was that the entire heavenly battlefield might be built on the Starry Palace. Was it that terrifying? Suyu hurriedly said, Sir, why didn't the invincible heavens enter to investigate? How do you know that they didn't enter to investigate? Xing Hong said indifferently, the Starry Palace has a total of 9 floors. However, there are some requirements regarding age and talent. Some are eternal. As one gets older, the danger increases greatly after entering. The probability of dying is very high. That's why we chose to let young people enter. Because young people, the younger they are, the more they get, the less they have to pay. Xing Hong said, when you enter, you will know the benefits and dangers of the Starry Mansion. Suyu's eyes moved slightly, Sir, are there any good things in there? Good things? Xing Hong said indifferently, of course there are many. Such as? For example, the Heaven Hunting Pavilion would often enter. The Heaven Hunting Pavilion has a lot of things to carry. Don't tell me you think it came out of nowhere. Back then, the heavenly battlefield was sealed off, and all the worlds in the universe could not enter. However, the Heaven Hunting Pavilion has always been rooted here, so the gains were great. Suyu suddenly understood. At this moment, he finally understood why the Heaven Hunting Pavilion had so many good things. It was because they had obtained it from the Starry Mansion. Then, Sir, do you know that the Heaven Hunting Pavilion is an ancient organization? It has existed since ancient times. Xing Hong gave a positive answer. Suyu continued, I heard that the ancient city token has some connection with the Starry Mansion. Could it be that Sir is also related to the Starry Mansion? Xing Hong was silent for a moment. At this moment, Xingyu, who was silent, said coldly, I do have some memories. These sacred cities were guarded by them. In the past, it seems that they came from there. Su Yu was stunned. Came from the starry mansion. Xing Hong said indifferently, whether it's the heaven-hunting pavilion or the sacred city, in the past. They all have some connection with the starry mansion. In other words, the starry mansion in the past was a place where authority was concentrated. We also need to obey the starry mansion's order. Su Yu was shocked. Such a big background. He wanted to ask again, but Xing Hong said impatiently, these things have nothing to do with you. No need to ask again. Some things in the ancient times have long become a thing of the past. Su Yu suddenly said, Sir, the last question, you've always said that you need to obey the rules. If you violate the rules, will someone punish you? This was what Su Yu was thinking about. Was everyone willing to let the 36 invincible ancient gods guard the passage? If they were not willing, if they broke the rules, or if they simply left, would there be any bad consequences? The rules are the rules. Xing Hong said something ambiguous. He did not say whether they would be punished, nor did he say whether anyone was punishing them. At this point, Su Yu could not ask any more. He smiled and suppressed these matters in his heart. He waved his hand to the ground and said with a smile, Lord Monarch, I'll take my leave first. Oh right, if you want to come out and play, you can come out and look for me anytime. A cold snort resounded in all directions.